It's even got a whore in it. Perfect.
Yeah, you might remember my song from 2010. This is my new joint. Goonin', I'm goonin'. My death is coming sooner. Pay $500 every day for OnlyFans. I can't wait until I drop the chair, my feet won't land. I'm goonin' in my goon cave. Yeah, I know that I'm a coon slave. I got 40 Twitter accounts and they're all porn. And my parents wish I was never born. Never born, never born. I eat American food, it's all corn. I think there's demons inside of it. Everything I watch, there's semen in that flick, yeah. Goonin', I just goon all day. Goonin', yeah, I'm a straight goon cave slave. It's like I'm shackled up in here. It's like I got something on my shaft and it's a disease. But I don't even touch no pussy. I don't know how I contract STDs. It must be that everything I'm touching is touching my nuts. When I get to shuffling my forefinger flute, ooh, my skin stuff, yeah. I watch some real stick stuff. Fuck sickos is what King Cobra told me. But my goon cave, it's never lonely, cause I'm gooning 24 hours a day. I just took another hit off that glass ice pipe, yeah. And I look at Ice Spice talking BWC all night like gooning in my goon cave. I'm a straight up goon and goon slave. Yeah, I don't leave my computer chair. It's got like 3 different liquids and a lot of hair. I don't know, cause I don't ever go anywhere that I could be seen. They see my chrome dome, it is glistening. Now I'm back in the goon cave, gooning all day. Straight up 24/7 coon slave, no homo though. Alright,
Project DDP Hip Club.
Deep love, chill you up. Deep love, chill you up. Deep love, chill you up. Deep love, say are you up? Deep love, what's up? Deep love, deep in your smile. Deep love, lift you up. Deep love, not tonight. Deep love,
Alrighty. Let's see what we're doing. We're doing Alex Jones and Glenn Greenwald and Destiny debating. Let's see. Uh-oh, I just opened up Steam, guys, and you'll never guess what I just saw. Uh-oh. Capitalism. What is the Capitalism Fest? Autism simulators. Oh, 1 second. Let me just take a... I love Storage Hustle. I love the idea of fucking Storage Wars, the video game. Let's see. City Skyline. I just love the fact that they have a based capitalist thing going on here. All right. We're still on that no medication arc, guys. So we're going to try and you don't need autism simulator if you're living it. Well, it's like injecting my real life into the video game, okay? That's what it's like. So, let's see here. What do I want to play? Do we want to play Company of Heroes while we listen to this? Let's see here. Let's see here. No recorded activity. There's lots of games I've never played that... Let me see if one of these is one of the ones I bought recently. Nope. All right, let's see what we're gonna do today, guys. Because the problem with the Destiny debate is that it is 3 hours and 18 minutes long. And we'll just never get through it. I wish that there was like a highlights video or something like that, but we'll probably... Because I'm not going to watch all this at once. I just know I'm not. Okay, I thought this was a different... So we could do this. Let's see here. We'll also peek through all of our... Peek over our content suggestions here. Oh, why? Why is Demon Mama puppy coated? And why is it 20 minutes long to talk about queer pets?
We got to talk about Donald Trump.
Okay, no, we don't, actually. We'll open this up. Let's see what this is.
From the Independent, Supreme...
1 hour?
Hey guys, so this...
My brother sent me this video and I immediately disregarded it, dude. How's the cat? Cat might have pancreatitis. We're waiting on blood work. I dropped a lot of money on the vet because the first time... Listen to this. Okay. Go with your gut when you feel like a doctor isn't giving you, enough credence for something you're saying, or if you go to the vet, or if you're in charge of like a child and the doctor just seems to like gloss over it, don't let them fucking push you around, okay? Because I went to the vet yesterday. I paid $280 for this man to walk in to the goddamn room, okay? Oh, look at that. My camera's freezing again. Let's go ahead and just minimize that. Walk into the room, pry open my cat's mouth from this distance, say, oh yeah, I smell his breath. He probably ate something rotten. Here's some antibiotics, and then walk out of the fucking room. $280. I gave him the antibiotics just like they asked me to, right? His appetite still not back. He hasn't eaten in now 4 fucking days. I go to that same vet because they said they wouldn't charge me for an exam fee. I get a different vet. The lady actually puts her hands on him, feels around, checks on him, looks inside of his mouth with a fucking flashlight, takes his they didn't take his fucking temperature yesterday, okay? $280 yesterday. And this lady says, oh, you know what? Like, this sounds a lot like pancreatitis based off of everything that you've told me. I don't know why the guy yesterday, I'll have to talk to him and see why he decided to say that. But, you know, it's, it doesn't seem like he ate something bad. It seems like he has something else going on. We'll run some blood work. Holy fuck. I dropped literally every single fucking bit of like emergency money that I had. So if you guys want to fucking help me, you know, possibly continue to pay for my cat going to the hospital because he's very sick, there's a donation link in the description of the YouTube. I'm a little bit pissed about it because I should have fucking said something yesterday when the guy like fucking peeked into the fucking cat's mouth and then said, oh yeah, here's some antibiotics for your cat's halitosis. Fucking loser. Jesus fucking Christ. So yeah, cat's not doing super great. Send your brother. I did actually. I actually should just like, you know what? I might just send you the ensuing conversation because he got mad at me. My family is very, very pro-Palestinian, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but holy fuck, do they think that I'm a bloodthirsty fucking evil, like Zionist, like want to kill as many fucking brown babies as possible shit. But yeah, I did send him that exact thing. And I told him never to listen to Crystal Ball, literally ever. Uh-oh, 1 second. My mom's calling me. I hope she's not listening to this and get mad at me about saying something about my brother. Okay, we're back. She was not. It was my mom. She was not scolding me for talking. For not talking shit, but venting about my older brother being, a crystal ball watcher. But all right, we'll watch this one first. All right, let's get suitably fucking angry. Okay, let's get suitably fucking angry, and then let's watch the Destiny thing. Okay.
This week, on January 11th, hearings will begin at the International Court of Justice against Israel, who, according to South Africa's complaint, is committing genocide. South Africa submitted a detailed 84-page complaint explaining why they have gone forward with this case. And to be honest with you, when I originally saw this filing, I was heartened by it, but I also felt like the U.S. and our allies just do whatever we want, willy-nilly, on the global stage. And so I was
People really do think, you know what? People really look at the United States like the empire from fucking Star Wars, where we're just fucking stormtroopers going around raping and fucking pillaging all over the place because we're the most powerful. I really think that I need to find some way to like formalize this thought, but I feel like it's not just grievance politics, and it's not just the fact that people are always rooting for the underdog. It's some combination of the two of these things where people see, you know, us and we're really big and strong, and then other people, and then we fight other people either economically or with military force or just, you know, culturally or whatever the fuck. And because they're the underdog and they're not as powerful, we're automatically the bad guy. But like, I'm sorry, if you look at China, if you look at Russia, if you look at North Korea, if you look at Iran, if you look at basically any of our major enemies on the global stage, all of them are dog shit. All of them are dog shit, not just with respect to their, you know, their not local politics, their domestic politics, but their international politics, their global politics are fucking dog shit. It's actually fucking insane to me that even if you were to like go through and try and pick out as much of the stuff as you can that is you know, propaganda or whatever the fuck, right? Even if you scrape through all the bullshit, these countries are still significantly worse than us in every respect domestically. And then when you look at their stuff internationally, yeah, they don't get involved in wars all over the fucking place. They don't come to the aid of other people like often. They might like send supplies or something, which is something that we also do, which they get mad about, us sending support to other countries that are our allies, right? Nobody's mad at fucking China for inflaming the Russian-Ukrainian war by sending Russia weapons or supplies or whatever the fuck, right? But when they do get involved with international politics, they're always on the fucking wrong side of things. They're always on the side of, you know, fucking Iran, you know, a country that like routinely kills women if they don't have their fucking hijab or whatever the fuck their head covering on, right? They're on the side of fucking Assad, a guy that fucking gassed his own fucking people with sarin gas, you know? Just look at how those countries treat their own citizens. That's all you need to know. I know. But then they'll say, well, look at us. We had MK Ultra and we had the Tuskegee experiments and we had, you know, yeah, shit that happened in the fucking past. Oh, well, what about fucking COVID lockdowns? Okay, well, I wish that you were still locked down. At this point, when people start bringing up stupid shit like that, I just want them fucking removed from society. Obviously, I don't mean that in a literal sense. I mean that on an emotional level. They should be fucking removed from fucking society, but, you know.
Distinctively doubtful that these proceedings would actually matter. However, some events this weekend have kind of changed my mind and shifted my perspective, namely the fact that Israel seems to be taking this incredibly seriously and seems to be very concerned about how all of this may unfold. So With that as context, I wanted to spend some time going through what Israel's counterclaims are going to be, what their defense is, the indications that they are actually freaked out about how these proceedings may go for them. I wanted to give you a little bit of back story and context on what exactly the International Court of Justice is, how this process is going to play out, and what exactly even is the Genocide Convention, how is that defined. And then I want to spend some time, too, with the actual complaint, some of the details of which, if you follow the news, if you watch our show, you'll be familiar, but it's still worth taking some time to really sit with the claims, the South African document here. The case that they make is very compelling, and part of why it's so compelling is not only because of the numbers and the statements that we've tracked of Israeli politicians and Israeli military officials, but they actually cite UN officials' assessments themselves, which makes it very hard for a UN body, the ICJ, to refute. So let me go ahead and dive into this first part, which caused me to take a closer look at these charges and reconsider how serious this could be for Israel. So this is a report from Axios that I can put up here on the screen that I believe just dropped this weekend about what Israel's response is. This is from Barak Ravid. He says, inside Israel's plan to quash South Africa's Gaza genocide case. And apparently, the TLDR of this is that they sent out an urgent cable to countries around the world, effectively begging them to come out with statements. We saw our own officials here, Biden administration officials, both Matthew Miller and John Kirby, coming out with the sorts of statements that Israel is effectively demanding here of their allies, and also gives a little bit of insight into how they intend to defend themselves against the charge that they are in the process of committing a genocide and they are failing to block the commission or incitement to genocide. So let me read you a little bit of this. They say the Israeli Foreign Ministry is instructing its embassies to press diplomats and politicians in their host countries to issue statements against South Africa's case at the ICJ that accuses Israel of committing genocide in Gaza. So the cable, they say, sent by the Israeli Foreign Ministry on Thursday, illustrates Israel's diplomatic action plan ahead of next week's ICJ hearing to create international pressure on the court to not issue an injunction that orders Israel to suspend its military campaign in Gaza. So already that's noteworthy, both because of the fact they're clearly taking this seriously, but also that their primary action isn't to argue against the merits of what's being presented here, but to say we need to create international pressure so that the court feels like they can't issue any sort of injunction against us. So they go on to give some of the backstory here that I've already explained, but they say Israel immediately rejected the case as baseless, but unlike in previous cases at international tribunals, it decided to appear in front of the court because it is a signatory to the Genocide Convention, and Israel will be represented at the ICJ by the British barrister Malcolm Shaw, to everyone's chagrin, not Alan Dershowitz, sadly, who would have been just a perfect choice. It was reportedly being considered and floated, but anyway, this British lawyer, Malcolm Shaw, is going to be chosen instead. Pretoria has asked the court to file urgent provisional measures, including ordering Israel to suspend its military campaign in Gaza while the case proceeds. This part's important too. So it will take years to actually fully adjudicate the charge of genocide against Israel. So what South Africa is immediately asking for is first an emergency hearing, which they've already been granted. That's why this starts this week. And then what they want is these provisional measures to effectively stop any of the actions that could constitute genocide and is continuing to create harm to the afflicted population while the case is being fully adjudicated. So that's what this initial hearing is actually about. Behind the scenes, they say the Israeli Foreign Ministry cable states Israel's strategic goal is for the court to reject the request for an injunction. That's what I was just referring to. Refrain from determining that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza and recognize that the Israeli military is operating in the Strip according to international law. Quote, a ruling by the court could have significant potential implications that are not only in the legal world, but have practical bilateral, multilateral, economic security ramifications, reads the cable, copy of which was obtained by Axios from 3 different Israeli officials. They declined to comment. What they're asking is for them to say they immediately and unequivocally issue public statements that say they state that their country rejects the outrageous outrageous, is that
So
a
I'm
word?
just listening right
Absurd
now.
and baseless allegations made against Israel. They argue that under the 1948 Convention, genocide is defined as creating conditions that don't allow the survival of the population together with the intent to annihilate it. And so they want officials in countries around the world to stress Israel's efforts to increase humanitarian aid to the population in Gaza. Very questionable how they can argue that, as a majority.
Sorry, what was the questionable thing there? I have to alt tab every time I want to fucking rewind. Sorry.
Of the population in Gaza is currently absurd and baseless allegations by different Israeli officials. They declined to comment. What they're asking is for them to say they immediately and unequivocally issue public statements that say they state that their country rejects the outrageous, is that a word? Absurd and baseless allegations made against Israel. They argue that under the 1948 Convention, genocide is defined as creating conditions that don't allow the survival of the population together with the intent to annihilate it. And so they want officials in countries around the world to stress Israel's efforts to increase humanitarian aid to the population in Gaza. Very questionable how they can argue that, as a majority of the population.
I was reading something. I missed it again. Okay, last time I'm going to go back. I'm going to listen to it actually for real this time.
The world to stress Israel's efforts to increase humanitarian aid to the population in Gaza. Very questionable how they can argue that. Aid wants that don't allow the survival of the population together with the intent to annihilate it. And so they want officials in countries around the world to stress Israel's efforts to increase humanitarian aid to the population in Gaza. Very questionable.
Okay. I don't know enough about the humanitarian aid. I know that they have provided some humanitarian aid and have allowed some humanitarian aid to enter, but
how they can argue that, as a majority of the population in Gaza is currently starving as we speak, but nevertheless, and to also decrease the number of civilians who are killed. They say that is critical. That also seems to me a difficult argument to make, given that civilian casualties range somewhere around 80 to 90% of the total killed. In the cable, the Israeli embassies were instructed to ask diplomats and politicians at the highest level to publicly acknowledge Israel's working together with international actors to increase the humanitarian aid to Gaza, as well as to minimize damage to civilians while acting in self-defense after the horrible October 7th attack by a genocidal terrorist organization. So they are taking this very seriously. And, I did a little bit of additional reading of some of why this could actually have an impact. As I mentioned, the ICJ could issue an immediate injunction saying basically like, you have to stop what you're doing in Gaza, period, end of story. Now, they don't really have an enforcement mechanism. And in fact, they issued a ruling against Russia that Russia is just completely blown off and ignored. So it's not like they really have teeth or any mechanism to actually enforce the signatories to this convention to abide by their rulings. However, here in the U.S., we can use us as an example. Our administration has said we're not going to even look into whether Israel is committing war crimes. And the reason they're doing that is because, number one, they don't want to get the answer. Number two, if Israel is committing war crimes, we are directly complicit in those because of our shipment of weapons and unconditional support.
the problem is there is no good case for genocide. There is no good case for genocide in this war or in this conflict or like basically at all. There's just no good case for it. They don't have a case. That's the fucking problem. Oh, fucking. Jesus. Okay. They don't have a case for it because you have to show like clear intent to destroy them. But there's so much in the opposite direction that shows that they don't have this special intent that's required under the UN's charter that they're trying to argue right now, right? They're trying to argue that the okay, let's get you guys out and then send you guys this way. Go right here. And then you guys, okay, you chill there, and then you guys, we'll drop one of you guys, drop him there, sure. Go this way. Go this way. We have a guy here. One second. Let me look at this for 1 second, guys. Okay, let me save these guys. Concentrate on this for like 2 seconds. Promise, only 2 seconds. Population cap is full? Really? The population cap is full? Population cap is full. Bullshit. Okay, I'm going to pause. Humanitarian aid is vetted heavily because Hamas smuggles things through. Notice how South Africa isn't calling what Russia is doing genocidal. They're like on par with each other, yeah.
Of all of the actions that are being taken.
Genocidal.
So if you have this international body that the U.S. is also a signatory to, having some finding that it is plausible Israel's committing genocide, that makes things a lot more uncomfortable for the Biden administration. It also could call into question enforcement of things like the Leahy Act, which are meant to prevent shipment of weapons to countries that are using them against civilians. So effectively what the U.S. government has been doing so far is just pleading ignorance, like, oh, we're not the judge and jury. No, we think these claims are meritless, but also we're not even looking into these claims. If you have this international body that we are participant in saying, yes, the claims have merit, yes, we think it's plausible they're committing genocide, yes, we're issuing a formal injunction, they need to cease and desist right away. Listen, do I think it's going to change what the Biden administration is doing? Not necessarily. I'm not super hopeful on that front, but it will make things a lot more uncomfortable for them. For other countries around the world, which have a lot more respect for international law and international institutions, this could actually change their approach to this conflict, could lead to economic sanctions. It could lead to, issues for diplomats from Israel trying to travel abroad. You've already had France saying that they're going to abide by whatever the ICJ finds. You've already had countries like Turkey say they agree with the South African case and effectively signing on to it as well. So that's some of the bigger context of why Israel is concerned here. And, there's also an emotional aspect. The Genocide Convention and the ICJ comes directly out of the horrors of World War II and specifically the horrors of the Holocaust. That's why Israel's been a long time supporter of the Genocide Convention because of this, incredibly foundational trauma that Jewish people and many Israelis actually experienced or their relatives experienced or connected to. So for them to be found to even plausibly be engaging in genocide, let alone, after years, if this is adjudicated, if they are found to have actually committed or attempted or conspired or, enabled a genocide, then that would be a pretty huge blow to their own self-conception. So there's
if they are. But there's nothing there. The population has increased over time. How do you have a genocide where there's more people after decades of genocide? How? How do you have a genocide where you've dropped as many bombs as people have died? You have like 1.3 people who, per bomb dying. If they really wanted to kill all of the fucking Palestinians, I feel like they could have been way more effective with their bombs. No, is what they're doing with their bombs perfectly above board, perfectly good? Everything's just peachy? No. Palestinians have a higher birth rate than the Israels can kill? True. It's like, can you imagine for a second if all of these countries and in the political environment that we live in right now, can you imagine if people levied
reasonable accusations at people and then actually got a conviction based off of those things, or actually had proof of all of the fucking things that they were accusing other people of, if they actually had an actual critique rather than something that they're having to, throw at the wall and then cry, oh, well, it's the corruption that makes it to where my claim isn't provable. Look at fucking Donald Trump. They're charging him not with stuff that they can't prove. They can't prove that all of the people, were incited to riot because of Donald Trump. Now, we can intuit that, we can logic it out, but we can't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that what he did was not just regular speech. That's why he's being indicted for the fucking criminal conspiracy in the federal case and in the Georgia case. It's the federal fucking conspiracy, or the grand conspiracy behind the scenes to try and upend the fucking electors on January 6th. It's like people who call Yemen a genocide because fighting Houthis is that. Yeah, exactly. It's just like, man, you could make a claim of ethnic cleansing. You could make a claim of humanitarian disaster, or causing a humanitarian disaster. Like, you can make those claims and back it up. And I wouldn't even necessarily be able to argue against it necessarily. But a genocide is such an unbelievably high bar to prove. Why would you make that assertion when you know you can't make the case? When me, a fucking retard on the internet, can look at the statute, look at the fucking Convention on Genocide, look at previous cases of genocide and say, does it really look like this is a genocide? Because there's never been a genocide in human fucking history where there are more of that ethnic, religious, national, or fucking religious group, or whatever the fuck all the different qualifiers are, where there's more of them after than before. It's just so stupid.
There's an emotional aspect of this as well. I want to go ahead and get into some of the details here of what exactly is the Genocide Convention. I always think it's a good idea just to start with the language itself, and then we can assess from there. I also want to say that regardless of whether you think the South Africa claims on their face have merit, I really do encourage you. I'm going to go through some of their argument. I do encourage you to read it yourself, and that way, you can have an informed opinion. I also plan to go through, whatever Israel submits in their defense too. But I think, this is obviously one of the gravest things that a country or a government can be accused of.
True.
And so if you are able to take the time.
It is the most serious crime that a country can be accused of, which is why the bar is so fucking high to prove that there is some sort of major fucking issue with the or some sort of actual genocide. That's why it's so fucking hard to prove. Why? Because it's an incredibly serious charge. Let me see here. Let me just build some quick defenses, y'all. All right.
Time to go through. It's 84 pages from South Africa, and read what they lay out and why they feel what's happening right now is consistent with violation of the Genocide Convention. I really do encourage you to do that. So here is the actual text of the Genocide Convention. And I won't read all of it, but I'll read the first 3 articles here, which are sort of the most relevant. So Article 1, they say the contracting parties confirm that genocide, whether committed in time of peace or in time of war, is a crime under international law, which they undertake to prevent and to punish. Now, this is important because, again, we're a signatory. So not only are we obligated to not do a genocide, which right now, arguably we are complicit in, but we also are obligated to try to prevent it. And South Africa, they make the case that we are fulfilling our obligations to try to prevent genocide by filing this case. Article 2 says, in the present convention, genocide means any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical.
Oh man, what I want is for this dumb whore to read it with the emphasis that it requires. UN Convention. Oh shit, I have Convention on Genocide. Same fucking thing. Genocide means any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy. Committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group as such, killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. Now, here are the really important parts of the Genocide Convention. Committed with intent to destroy. What does that mean? You have to know that what you are doing is going to kill people, and you want to do it because you want to destroy them, not because, oh, well, let's say the United States is in Afghanistan and there's a bunch of Taliban soldiers in a house, and there's also a family in there. All right. Now, killing the group of like militants, obviously that's well within their rights, but there's a family in there. Well, there's some collateral damage. Can we call the United States, because they're in part killing, all these people? They're all part of the same ethnic group, and some of them are non-combatants. Is this an act in furtherance of genocide? No, nobody would say that is, right? Is what we did in the totality of the war in Afghanistan, or the war in Iraq, or the war, or the stuff that we did in Syria, where we added some extra little spice on top of our allies' actions in Syria. Does anybody accuse the United States of committing genocide? And does any serious actor on the world stage, all right? Not fucking retards on the internet, all right? Like Crystal Ball or any of the fucking other cringe fucking lefties, all right? Does anybody accuse the United States of committing genocide? No, because it requires the special intent. Is Israel killing members of the group? Sure. Are they causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group? Yes. Are they deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part? I don't think that they can meet that burden. I don't think that they're imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. Why? Because there's more of them now than there used to be. They have a positive. Oh, fuck. I have the fucking setting for the game still set up. The earliest record of Gaza population shows 6,000 people living in the city in 1596.
In 1838, it surpassed Jerusalem's population with about 15,500 people. The population swelled to 42,000 before World War I, although battles in 1917 caused the population to plummet to 17,000. Population once more grew in the 1970s and 80s, reaching 300,000 by 1997. And then if we look at over the decades, let's look at, okay, so this was the year that they pulled out, or was it 2006 that they pulled out? I can't remember if it was 2006 or 2008 that they pulled out. Positive birth rate the entire time. Positive birth rate the entire time. If they were trying to prevent births or inflicting group conditions to bring about the end of life, Katie just talked to Loner, debater. If Katie wants to talk, she can message me, but I'm not going to go out of my way to fucking talk to her. I don't know if I want to. Especially unmedicated. I think I would kill myself, but whatever. I just don't think that when you look at the population, you can't point towards anything that would show, hey, these guys right here, these guys are trying to like completely destroy them. See, there are less of them now than there used to be. That's not the case.
Or racial or religious group as such. So these are the type of actions that can be consistent with genocide. You don't have to be doing all of them, but any of the following acts with intent to destroy in whole or in part a group, including killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. Article 3 says the following acts shall be punishable, and this is significant as well. Genocide, conspiracy to commit genocide, direct and public incitement to commit genocide. And that becomes relevant when we get to all of the many statements that have been made by Israeli officials and military officials that seem to include genocidal intent. Next one is attempt to commit genocide and complicity in genocide. So, this is directly about Israel, but obviously the U.S., because we have provided Israel so much support, not just right now, but over the years, also is implicated. This is something Ryan Grimm actually asked Matthew Miller about, whether he was concerned, and he sort of brushed off. But apparently there is quite a bit of reason to be concerned, and Israel is concerned right now about what all of this could mean. So before I dive into the specifics of the South Africa report, you could do a lot worse if you just want the TLDR of what's in this report than to look at these statistics from Euromed Monitor, which has been tracking, deaths and displacements and destruction in the Gaza Strip since the beginning of Israel's assault. And they track here as of January 4th, 30,676 killed. That includes those who are presumed dead under the rubble. That includes 12,040 children, 6,103 women, 28,201 civilians. That is roughly a 90% civilian death toll. And again, these are many of the things that are tracked at length and really fleshed out and supported in South Africa's filing here. But just to give you the top line, this is as good a way as any to look at some of the actions that are being taken that South Africa is arguing constitute genocide. You've had almost everyone in the Gaza Strip at this point, 1.935 million people who have been displaced. You've got press headquarters, 169 destroyed, 201 mosques damaged, 3 churches damaged, 198 heritage sites damaged, 58,960 injured, over 100 journalists killed. You have massive destruction to private residences. So 67,946 completely destroyed homes and 179,750 partially destroyed homes, 318 damaged schools, 524 healthcare professionals who have been killed or injured, 167 civil defense workers. Those are the type of people who would be attempting to pull folks from the rubble. 167 of those killed or injured. 1,612 destroyed industrial facilities, 169 healthcare facilities damaged, 23 hospitals, 57 clinics, and 89 ambulances, and 2,850 detainees or forcibly disappeared. So these are some of the facts that are laid out in depth in the South Africa filing. And I want to go ahead and pull up now the case that they have laid out, their 84-page case itself. So I can go through a bit of this, and obviously I'm not going to read the whole 84 pages, but I wanted to give you a sense of how they lay this out. And there's a number of components here. So first of all, they actually set the context. They say, listen, it's not just what's happening now. It's what's been happening over years with forcible displacements, with violence against Palestinians, both in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, with an occupation, with a blockade, with a separate system of justice for Palestinians versus Israelis. So they lay that out. Then, of course, they lay out the facts that I was just alluding to of the military action that is happening and the way it has been incredibly destructive to civilian life and has been inconsistent, honestly, with life when you have so many people starving, so many people dead, so much of the Gaza Strip destroyed. So they go through that as well. They also talk about the what they actually want to accomplish with this, and critically, so in terms of their standing and in terms of ultimate finding of genocide, but in the immediate term, this temporary injunction that they're hoping will be issued to try to cease fighting and cease, the assault on the Gaza Strip. And critically, and this is something that I've talked about before and that we've covered fairly extensively, they document page after page of Israeli officials and military officials calling for Gaza to be flattened, saying there are no...
Bruh, I don't care. I don't care about like random fucking people saying, 1 second. Pause the game. I don't care about people saying random shit. I care about the actions. If you want to fucking compare, the statements made by officials, put side by side the statements of Israeli officials and then of Palestinian and Hamas officials. I'd love to see that happen. I'd love to see some random fucking quotes from fucking like high up Palestinians. Okay. The goal would be to couple the statements with actions. Exactly. But that's not what they're interested in, right? What they're interested in is, fuck Israel. Israel is are the bad guys, and the Palestinians are the good guys because the Palestinians are the underdogs and everybody else is just bullying them. That's how it be. Damn. Let's see if we can't get ourselves a nice big old strike right there. Bye-bye. There we go. Killing all these Nazi bastards. There we go.
Innocent civilians and expressing pretty clear and oftentimes completely clear genocidal intent. That part is very noteworthy because usually the reason why genocide is so difficult to prove is because typically
special intent.
People don't go around saying, let's do a genocide. We're doing a genocide. There are no innocent civilians. They all should die. The whole area should be flattened. Usually those sort of statements are not directly made. That is not the case here. And again, we've covered many, but not even close to the majority of the comments that are documented here. I will share a few of them with you today just so you can get a sense of that. But that ability to show intent based on their own words is one of the more damning parts of this case that's laid out here. So let me just start by reading this portion I have highlighted because it kind of gives an overview of what they want to lay out in this report. They say, the facts relied on by South Africa in this application to be further developed in these proceedings establish that, against a background of apartheid, expulsion, ethnic cleansing, annexation, occupation, discrimination, and the ongoing denial of the right of the Palestinian people to self-determination, Israel, since October 7th in particular,
Israel's not the only one denying these fucking people self-determination. Look at Jordan. Look at fucking Lebanon. Look at fucking Egypt, especially Jordan, though. These places are very clearly not helping these people out. They're also keeping them in a state of fucking just limbo. They're just keeping them in a state of limbo, especially in Jordan. When it comes to the Palestinians, they're just leaving them there. Hey, how's it going, Econo Boy?
Has failed to prevent genocide and has failed to prosecute the direct and public
Nazis
incitement to genocide. More gravely still, Israel has engaged in, is engaging in, and risks further engaging in genocidal acts against the Palestinian people in Gaza. Those acts include killing them, causing them serious mental and bodily harm, and deliberately inflicting on them conditions of life calculated to bring about their physical destruction as a group. Repeated statements by Israeli state representatives, including at the highest levels by the Israeli president, prime minister, and Minister of Defense, expressed genocidal intent. That intent is also properly to be inferred from the nature and conduct of Israel's military operation in Gaza, having regard inter alia to Israel's failure to provide or ensure essential food, water, medicine, fuel, shelter, and other humanitarian assistance for the besieged and blockaded Palestinian people, which has pushed them to the brink of famine. It is also clear from the nature, scope, and extent of Israel's military attacks on Gaza.
Also, how many people talk about this all the time, and I don't know the answer. I could be fucking wrong here. How many people are starving in Palestine pre-conflict? How many? Like, actual legitimate question. How many people are actually fucking starving to death, or even like starving in any way? Oh shit, they have a machine gun. That's right, you better fucking run, you dumb bitch. You slut. Let's put them right here, where they're a little bit more safe. Just slightly more safe.
Which have involved the sustained bombardment over more than 11 weeks of one of the most densely populated places in the world, forcing the evacuation of 1.9 million people, or 85% of the population of Gaza, from their homes and herding them into ever smaller areas without adequate shelter, in which they continue to be attacked, killed, and harmed. So that is kind of their overview, and lays out, as I just explained, the various pieces of the case that they're going to make. And the first part that they talk about is the context of the lengthy occupation, illegal settlements, apartheid, blockade, and consistent violence against the Palestinian people. So they're saying, listen, it's very clear what's been going on since October 7th, but part of what led us to our conclusion that this is an ongoing genocide is the fact that you've had this lengthy history of violence, control, occupation, illegal settlements, etc. And I pulled, just let me find this one part to give you a sense of the case that they're making there. So they say, Israel's actions in the West Bank since October 7th, including for its support for and failure to prevent or punish Israeli settlers for incitement and violence against Palestinians and Palestinian property, including the driving out of vulnerable Palestinian communities from their lands, are intrinsically connected to Israel's actions in Gaza and provide at the very least important context to Israel's violations of the Genocide Convention. So they say, listen, these are not two separate things. You have to look at the assault on Gaza and the loss of life here and the destruction of civilian infrastructure. You have to look at all of these pieces in the context of what has been going on for years and years. These are, they say, intrinsically connected to Israel's actions in Gaza. Let me give you a little bit more of the case that they make in terms of the occupation and the siege. They talk both about what happened in the West Bank and also what they have seen over years in Gaza. Let me just find this piece. If I can spell. Special Rapporteur. Here we go. In 2020, the United Nations Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in the Palestinian...
Okay, 1 second. Escape, Alt tab. Okay, what are these? Ranking, percent obesity by country. 31 and 32. Let's look at 31 and 32. Oh, Palestine is one of the fattest places right behind or right in front of Israel. Wait, hold on. There are more obese. Wait, the way this map works does not make any sense. The way I'm moving my mouse. How is Palestine more obese than Israel? And you're going to say they're starving to death.
Territories occupied since 1967 describe the impact of Israel's blockade on Gaza as having turned Gaza from a low-income society with modest but growing export ties to the regional and international economy to an impoverished ghetto with a decimated economy and a collapsing social service system. They go on to cite that report saying in 2022, he described the situation as follows. In Gaza, the apparent strategy of Israel is the indefinite warehousing of an unwanted population of 2 million Palestinians, whom it has confined to a narrow strip of land through its comprehensive 15-year-old air, land, and sea blockade with further restrictions by Egypt on the southern border of Gaza. Ban Ki-moon has called this political quarantining of the population a collective punishment, which is a serious breach of international law. They also lay out in great detail here the apartheid system that exists with regards to the residents of the occupied West Bank and the violence that they have faced. They document how this, before October 7th, was one of the deadliest years in history for Palestinians living in the West Bank. And so they say, listen, when you're considering what's happening right now, you also have to look at what has been happening to Palestinians over years and years. Let me go ahead and turn to their documentation of
They killed my fucking...
what is actually
that's a
happening
war crime
right
right
now
there.
in Gaza. And they go through horrors of the number of civilians killed, the conditions in which they have been killed. They go through here we go. They go through the horrible conditions facing children in particular, and how that has made it impossible for children to be safe, the emotional trauma that they have suffered over many years. And I don't want to dwell too much on this section because I showed you the Euromed Monitor numbers. This is the sort of thing that we try to cover day in and day out at Breaking Points. If you've been watching the videos or the news, you probably are familiar with, not the regular news, but if you're watching us, if you're looking on TikTok, if you're looking at any sort of non-biased news source, you're likely familiar with the extent of the horror and the atrocities. But just to give you a sense of part of what they're documenting here, and just some of the horrors that sometimes don't even get noticed in the melee of the ongoing atrocities that are being committed. They talked about what was unfolding inside of hospitals and the conditions that doctors are attempting to work in, the conditions that patients have found themselves in, At one point, they say, the hospitals, they say they've turned into makeshift morgues. They've had to dig mass graves outside of them. They are more like hospice centers than they are places of ongoing care. And even that is too kind, because hospice centers indicate an ability to provide some sort of care for people who are at the end of their lives. And they say in particular here, I'll read this section, those hospitals which are still functioning are described as scenes from a horror movie. The critical shortages of staff and supplies, including anesthetics, analgesics, medicine, and disinfectants, have led not only to otherwise unnecessary amputations of limbs, but also to amputations without anesthesia. Imagine that. Amputations without anesthesia. And I know some of these have been conducted on children, often undertaken by flashlight. Pregnant women also being subjected to cesareans without anesthetic. Patients are being treated on dirty floors covered with blood, with family members having to stand holding saline bags where saline is even available. There are insufficient staff and resources for adequate wound or post-operative wound care. Unclean wounds, often infested with worms and flies, rapidly become infected, necrotic, or gangrenous. Patients plead for food and water. Even basic pain management treatment is often unavailable, and patients are at risk of dying from treatable conditions.
Okay.
One doctor described having to do procedures without anesthetic. He said, I was forced to do dressing changes on massive wounds, excruciatingly painful wounds. There was a girl with just her whole body covered in shrapnel. She was 9. I ended up having to change and clean these wounds with no anesthetic and no analgesic. I managed to find some intravenous paracetamol to give her. Her dad was crying. I was crying, and the poor child was screaming. So these are the sort of accounts that are provided in this lengthy report. And there's quite a bit, too, on the level of hunger, starvation, the famine conditions which have been imposed. At the beginning, they announced a complete siege. Now, there has been some numbers of trucks, aid trucks, that have been allowed in, wildly insufficient for the needs. They go into great detail about the sanitation failures, raw sewage
I think
running
everything
in the
about
streets,
this is weird.
one toilet for hundreds and hundreds of people, one shower for thousands and thousands of people, the mass displacement. They go into all of it here. And part of what makes it so difficult for, again, a UN body here in the ICJ to deny is that much of this is being documented by the UN. And remember, UN aid workers have been killed here in larger numbers than any other war in the UN's history. So they have had, a very personal view of what has been happening here on the ground that is documented in this report. So as I mentioned before, and as I covered a little bit, and we've covered some of these comments, though nowhere close to all of them, there's a lengthy section that attempts to establish intent based simply on the public statements of, let me find this one, the public statements of various Israeli politicians, up to including Netanyahu, Isaac Herzog, senior Likud party members, various cabinet members. I mean, you can see here all of these different ministers: President of Israel, Israeli Minister of Defense, Israeli Minister for National Security, Minister of Energy and Infrastructure, Minister of Finance. A couple here that I'm not sure that we had covered on Breaking Points, which are quite clear with the Palestinians in Gaza. So I'll read a few of the comments here that I think we didn't cover on Breaking Points, but really, you could read any of these and be appropriately horrified about the sentiments that are being expressed just open and in public, not just by random commentators or people online, but by senior officials in positions of power. So this is the Israeli Minister of Heritage. This individual posted on Facebook, "The north of the Gaza Strip, more beautiful than ever. Everything is blown up and flattened. Simply a pleasure for the eyes. We must talk about the day after. In my mind, we will hand over lots to all those who fought for Gaza over the years and to those evicted from Gush Katif, a former Israeli settlement. He later argued against humanitarian aid, as we wouldn't hand the Nazis humanitarian aid, so calling all Palestinians Nazis. And he said there is no such thing as uninvolved civilians in Gaza. This individual, which I think we did cover on the show, also posited a nuclear attack on the Gaza Strip.
Nair, don't do it to me. Don't do it to me. I'm going to say something bad. Okay, don't do it to me. Okay.
We've got the Minister of Agriculture. There's some statements here from Army officials that are quite noteworthy. Let me read you some from Giora Island. This is an Israeli Army reservist major general, former head of the Israeli National Security Council and advisor to the defense minister. He said on October 7th, describing the Israeli order to cut off water and electricity, "This is what Israel has begun to do. We cut the supply of energy, water, and diesel to the strip, but it's not enough. In order to make the siege effective, we have to prevent others from giving assistance to Gaza. The people should be told they have two choices: to stay and to starve, or to leave." Giora Island has made a number of other similar comments demanding that the humanitarian crisis be furthered and that they not give in. Say the state of Israel has no choice but to make Gaza a place that is temporarily or permanently impossible to live in. He also said of the attack on raid on Al-Shifa Hospital, which he described as inescapable, "I hope the head of the CIA got an explanation of why this is necessary and why the U.S. must ultimately back even an operation like this, even if there are thousands of bodies of civilians in the streets afterward." Another time he said Gaza will become a place where no human being can exist. Also echoed the words of President Herzog, has repeatedly underscored there should be no distinction between Hamas combatants and Palestinian civilians, saying, "Who are the poor women of Gaza? They are all the mothers, sisters, or wives of Hamas murderers. On the one hand, they are part of the infrastructure that supports the organization. On the other hand, if they experience a humanitarian disaster, it can be assumed that some of the Hamas fighters and the more junior commanders will begin to understand the war is futile. The international community warns us of a humanitarian disaster in Gaza and of severe epidemics. We must not shy away from this. After all, severe epidemics in the south of the Gaza Strip will bring victory closer. It is precisely its civil collapse that will bring the end of the war closer." So very clear there. This one is wild. I actually hadn't even seen
what
this.
Was very clear there? Wait, hold on. Skip. Pause. What was so clear there, Crystal?
Particular speech in Gaza and of severe epidemics. We must not shy away from this. After of Gaza, they are all the mothers, sisters, or wives of Hamas murderers. On the one hand, they are part of the infrastructure that supports the organization. On the other hand, if they experience a humanitarian disaster, it can be assumed that some of the Hamas fighters and the more junior commanders will begin to understand the war is futile. The international community warns us of a humanitarian disaster in Gaza and of severe epidemics. We must not shy away from this. After all, severe epidemics in the south of the Gaza Strip will bring victory closer. It is precisely its civil collapse that will bring the end of the war closer. So very clear there. This one is wild. I actually hadn't even seen.
That's bad. I don't agree with that. Does that rise to genocide?
This particular speech, Israeli Army reservist motivational speech delivered on October 11th. This is a 95-year-old Israeli Army reservist, Ezra Yakin, a veteran of a massacre during the 1948 Nakba, reportedly called up for reserve duty to boost morale amongst Israeli troops. He, ahead of the ground invasion, was broadcast on social media, inciting other soldiers to genocide as follows while being driven around in an Israeli Army vehicle dressed in Israeli Army fatigues. Guys, ready for this one? "Be triumphant and finish them off, and don't leave anyone behind. Erase the memory of them, erase them, their families, mothers, and children. These animals can no longer live. Every Jew with a weapon should go out and kill them. If you have an Arab neighbor, don't wait. Go to his home and shoot him. We want to invade, not like before. We want to enter and destroy what's in front of us."
Israeli Army reservist. 95-year-old Israeli Army reservist. Reportedly called up for reserve duty to boost morale amongst Israeli troops ahead of the ground invasion. This is genocide.
And destroy houses, then destroy the one after it. With all our forces, complete destruction, enter and destroy. As you can see, we will witness things we've never dreamed of. Let them drop bombs on them and erase them. Don't think you could get any more clear than that. And you can see the list of genocidal statements continues from there. And reportedly, The Israeli planned defense for these comments is, oh, these people are just talking. This is just populist rhetoric, was the language that I saw reported in Israeli media. And that would
Yeah. I mean, it is populist language. Guess who else were populists? Like, I don't know. You're a populist, right? I don't think
be their case for why these statements should be disregarded. But it would be one thing if it was just random commentators, random, people on Facebook or Telegram or whatever.
This is a 95-year-old fucking war vet. That is a random fucking person.
It is the prime minister, the president, various ministers, various current and former defense officials, and on down the line. It becomes very difficult to say, oh, this is an official government policy. Oh, this is just some fringe figures spouting off. Well, does the prime minister...
The prime minister didn't call for genocide.
Constitute a fringe figure? It
I don't
seems to
even
me
like
he is...
Benjamin Netanyahu. He's a scumfuck. He's a piece of shit. He should be removed from office. He's not the one he's not the one that said genocide.
Would be a pretty fair representation of what government policy actually is. The last part that I want to underscore here for you guys is that effective...
I'm sorry, I really quick. I want to scroll back. I want to go back to the part where she was reading the 95-year-old person. Does she say...
Not shy away from this. After all, severe epidemics in the south of the Gaza Strip will bring victory closer. It is precisely its civil collapse that will bring the end of the war closer. So very clear there. This one is wild. I actually hadn't even seen this particular speech. Israeli Army reservist motivational speech delivered on October 11th. This is a 95-year-old Israeli Army reservist, Ezra Yakin, a veteran of a massacre during the 1948 Nakba, reportedly called up for reserve duty to boost morale amongst Israeli troops. He, ahead of the ground invasion, was broadcast on social media, inciting other soldiers to genocide as follows while being driven around in an Israeli army vehicle dressed...
Major political player? 95-year-old fucking war vet? Major political player?
Figure. It seems to me like he is would be a pretty fair representation of what government policy actually is. The last part that I want to underscore here.
Look, they cite Genesis 34:25.
For you guys is that effectively to win in the temporary emergency injunction that they are seeking, they don't have to prove that this is a genocide that's going on. They just have to prove that it is plausible that Israel is committed and is committing or capable of being characterized at the very least as plausibly committing genocide.
They have to prove intent. They have to prove intent. What do you mean?
So that's the standard here. They go into, legal analysis of the acts that are documented and how they are consistent with certainly a plausible reading of potential genocide. And that is the legal standard for these immediate measures. As I mentioned before, though the actual adjudication of whether or not genocide is being committed, that'll take years. But this immediate temporary ruling could come in weeks or potentially months. So still, if you're a Palestinian in Gaza who's starving and wondering if you are going to live to see the next day, I'm sure that still feels like an...
Hey, guess what? All of that aid that Israel did allow through, guess who is actually stealing it from the fucking civilians? Fucking Hamas. There is no path forward as long as Hamas exists.
Eternity, but some action is being taken, and I think that it is difficult to rebut many of these claims just because it is documented by the UN, because it is being proclaimed loudly in the words of senior officials, and because we can all see the videos of what is unfolding before our very eyes. So I guess that's why Israel, to go back to the first report we were talking about, is trying to put pressure on their allies around the world, thinking that maybe a political route is more likely to succeed than a legal route. But we'll have to see how all of this plays out. Thanks, guys, for sticking with me through all of this. Like I said, I encourage you to read the whole thing because I do think it's useful to see what is being laid out here. And you can decide for yourself, make your own mind up about whether or not you think they have made the case strongly enough. Sagar and I will both be back in studio for a full show on Monday. So I'll see you then.
Okay, give me just a couple of seconds. I'm going to run downstairs. We will start on the Destiny
Alex Jones, Glenn Greenwald thing. All right, but I'm gonna heat up a fucking taco because I'm hungry as fuck. So we'll put on some nice little music right here. You guys love music. We'll do this again. All right, give me like 3 minutes.
All right. Let's see what you guys were saying while I was gone. All right. When peace comes, we will perhaps be in. When peace comes, we will perhaps in time be able to forgive the Arabs for killing our sons, but it will be harder for us to forgive them having forced us to kill their sons. Peace will come when the Arabs love their children more than they hate us. Listen, obviously killing children is bad. Okay, never mind. I'm not going to engage on that. I'm not going to. I have better things to do. Like... Which one? Let's do this one.
Would you have been okay in the year 2000 if Gore refused to certify the vote because he didn't like what was happening in Florida?
A lot of Democrats did
Can
want
you
him to
answer
do
that question? Glenn, answer the question.
Yeah, and I would have actually. Yes, a lot of Democrats were angry about that.
I'm not asking if a lot of I'm asking you would be okay personally if he refused to certify the vote.
I think there were two.
You won't answer the question. What would have happened if Pence would have thrown out the vote?
No, that's a hypothetical. Trump wanted a 10-day investigation.
No, but
I don't care
he
what Trump
also
wanted
Pence to throw out the
what would have happened?
votes.
What would you have called that?
Him and Eastman were pushing for that.
Yeah, what would we have called that? Can I get a name for that? If you don't want to call it a coup or an insurrection, what would you call that?
Well, I'd call it taking Trump off the ballot and saying we can't vote for him.
Yeah, I know you won't answer because you probably know he's guilty. That's fine. What about
I
you
know
or
he's
Glenn?
guilty.
Glenn, what would you call it if the president was able to entrench his power by asking his vice president to throw out the vote unilaterally, which is what he was trying to do? Do you want to deny the facts? Do you want to deny that it's a coup? What part?
A coup.
Why didn't he call them off immediately if he thought it didn't make him look good?
It was happening while he was giving a speech.
Wrong. The reason why he didn't call them off is because him, Giuliani, and Eastman were making phone calls to other senators and congressmen asking them to decertify the electoral vote.
No.
You were there, but you weren't.
Do you acknowledge that happened, or do you not acknowledge it?
We're talking about the crowd.
I don't care about the crowd. I'm saying that as the riot was raging on and he was sitting there sipping his Diet Coke, if this really made him and his followers look bad, why didn't Donald Trump make a video immediately?
I'm about to do it because I can talk over you really easy.
That's what you've been doing the whole time.
No, you're doing it.
I look forward to you dodging the question again.
We have some inclement weather, just so everybody knows. We have some inclement weather. There is a really quick, let me see if the tornado watch is still in effect. I don't want to accidentally dox myself. Houston weather. 2 tornadoes touched down north of Houston. Oh, hold on. I might need to let me just make sure I'm not chilling here while I need to be in a closet or something. Tornado watch is in effect. Okay, let me move this tab to where I can keep my eye on it. There we go.
You're doing it.
No, you.
So,
Is
you.
Dorothy from Wizard of Oz,
you.
please, God, no.
You. Both of you. Keep doing it.
Jump into it. I want to introduce our panel of incredible people. As I
Check out new animated intro Discord DM. Ooh. Hey, everybody. Here, let me hide my ugly fucking face so you guys can see this in its full glory. Wow. Wow. That's nice. I like it. Also, look who joined us. It's Waffles. Are you going to chill right there? Making biscuits right there? You going to chill? Okay. Okay.
Said earlier, and I'm going to start from
Wait, did you hear about Fort Worth gas explosion at the hotel? Wait, no, hold on. Can you link me that?
the end and give you guys a chance to introduce yourselves. We have Ed Krasenstein.
Yeah, how's it going? I'm Ed Krasenstein. You know me on X at Ed Krasen, also the twin brother of Brian.
Thanks for pointing out that it's Krasenstein, not Krasenstein.
Well, it can actually be either. You can do Krasenstein or Krasenstein, and I really don't care what you use. So
It's Frankenstein, not Stein.
Not Frankenstein.
I was just thinking that.
That was Alex Jones, if you didn't know. We also have Brian Krasenstein.
Hey, Ian. It's great to be here. I'm Brian Krasenstein, known as Krasenstein on X. I'm Ed's slightly better looking and more intelligent twin brother.
And modest as well. Probably the most modest of the Krasensteins. Next to Brian, we have...
Just Google. Well, I was just hoping that you would make it easy on me. Okay. Let's look up. At least 11 injured? Jesus.
Breaking news now out of Fort Worth, Texas. Take a look at this video from just moments ago. You can see debris scattered around the streets. A city official confirms there's been some sort of explosion in the city's downtown area. The official went on to say there was a plume of smoke higher than the city's high-rise buildings. One eyewitness told the Fort Worth Star-Telegram that she saw people coming out of a nearby hotel with bloody faces and others being wheeled out on stretchers. Our crews are on the way to the scene. We're going to bring you updates as soon as we get them.
Went to go for a walk.
That's it? That's all you got for me? Wait, hold on. Can I X out? X? No? I'm not allowed to hit the X button?
Your job site is just like a production line. Every machine needs to run optimally.
So think about that with a heavy police presence that Caroline mentioned. You're getting another look now from the chopper, a bit of a higher bird's eye view of the scene here. Again, a ton of debris looking like it could have come from the bottom up, just bottom, basement, below ground level, straight up.
And you could see it. You could see it right there. Obviously, you know, the caveat here is we're not, you know, explosive investigators or anything, but we know what we're seeing right now.
Correct,
And you can see that hole in the sidewalk.
Gaping hole.
It is massive.
Yeah.
And when you think about what that is on a normal day covered with, you're talking about 10 by 10 slabs of concrete.
4,400 pounds.
4,400 pounds each.
It's intense.
And now it's shattered in pieces. You can see directly into the basement, and you know, God knows how deep that hole actually is.
I think we've got an updated look at Tagboard for you guys, just gathering some information that has been on Twitter from Fort Worth Fire, Fort Worth Police Department. Right now, we've got a tweet up from Tim O'Hare, Tarrant County Judge. We know him well. He says information is being gathered on this situation as we speak. And an abundance of caution, I've directed our downtown county buildings to close for the day. Obviously, like we said, it's 5:22. That was going to happen anyway. But just to keep any extra folks that may have needed to go back to the office, finish a meeting, whatever the case may be, they have now been able to go home. And hopefully, we're hoping they're safe and out of the.
You know, I'm not even going to fucking lie. I've lived in Texas for the overwhelming majority of my life. Where the fuck is Fort Worth? Like, where is it? Oh, it's in Dallas. That's right. That's right. I do know this.
away.
This is Ted Cruz, Senator Ted Cruz, also getting wind of this. He said, my state team and I are closely monitoring the developing situation in downtown Fort Worth following the gas explosion at a local hotel. Please avoid the area until authorities deem it safe. Again, that has not been deemed safe.
No,
there is
it is not.
An all clear that has been given. Still very much a dangerous situation. He went on to say, we are grateful for the first responders who were on the scene of this accident. I think we can all echo that sentiment.
Yeah, because they've got a very, very busy night and days ahead of them. Want to take a break from this major breaking news in downtown Fort Worth and get you an update on your first alert weather. I want to bring in meteorologist Jeff Ray. Jeff, can you walk us through what we are now expecting on the other side of this wind advisory that you've been watching and the rest of the team's been watching today?
Okay, don't care. Back to this. Sorry, but I had a seizure. Wait, why did you have a seizure? Sorry, I've been very. Yeah, are you okay? I've been very out of the loop on, a lot of things, especially in the past couple of days because of my cat. So, by the way, if you're watching right now and you want to help me pay for my cat's vet bills, please hit the fucking the donation button in the description. All right, I had to shell out fucking $500 over the past 2 days because my cat is very ill.
Stephen Bonnell,
Was it
known as
before
Destiny.
Christmas? I haven't heard
What's
of
happening,
that. I'm
man?
sorry about that.
Hey, what's up? You know me on YouTube at Destiny. My real life name is Steven, and I scream and shout at people on the internet for a living.
Next to this dude, we got Alex Jones. Alex, explain yourself.
Well, I don't think I probably needed much of an introduction, but I mean, I was there on January 6th, and I saw what happened. And so it's a very important discussion we're about to have tonight. I'm glad everybody came. We need to have more of this, not just left and right, but just different groups of people debating and discussing. I'm really glad that Zero Hedge and their great subscription service, people.
Bro, Alex Jones did like a full-ass brick of cocaine over the course of this debate. All right? I want everyone to notice how many times I never watched it. I only listened to it. Okay? I only listened to it. But I could feel and hear how fucking close he was getting to Destiny. Okay? You could tell, like, I think at some point, I don't know where it is, but Destiny's like, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't put your hand on me. So I think Alex Jones was just like constantly in his face. I never watched it, okay? So I want to see how bad it gets. But from what I understand, dude was doing like a brick of fucking cocaine over the course of this fucking debate. Manhandles Destiny. Yeah, I'm dominating you. You're interrupting me right now. No, you. Oh, it's so fucking good, dude. It's so fucking good.
Supporting it is financing this. And so you're going to see a lot more of this with people supporting Zero Hedge. And so I'm just honored to be here with you guys in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, absolute shout out to Zero Hedge. Great company. Great people, too. Really great people involved with the company. And to your left, my right,
it's
Darren
that
Beatty.
fucking dude? That's the dude from the fucking retards show. Fucking Beanie Man. Fucking Tim Pool. Isn't that the guy from Tim Pool's thing?
What's happening, man?
Great to be here. Thank you. I'm Darren Beatty. I run a news site called Revolver.news, which is reported extensively on January 6th. And you can also see me on X at Darren J. Beatty.
And you're a Trump advisor and speechwriter.
Yes.
And a former professor. And you helped quarterback a lot of the groundbreaking stuff that Tucker Carlson put up.
Indeed.
So I'll sing your praises since you.
Thank you.
And we also have coming in remote live, Glenn Greenwald from your studio in Brazil. What's happening, Glenn?
Hey everybody, Glenn Greenwald. I'm a journalist. I'm the host of System Update on Rumble. I had planned to be there in person. A little logistical problems intervened, and I wish I could be, but I'm really looking forward to participating. And I just want to echo Alex. I think what Zero Hedge is doing is so important, organizing these kind of substantive, structured debates among people who obviously disagree pretty strongly on things, and yet nonetheless can have.
Does anybody wait? Hold on. Is he in Brazil because he's like so against America that he moved away, or does he have like a warrant out for his arrest in the U.S.? Yeah, but why is his studio in Brazil rather than in the United States? Or has he always lived in Brazil? I understand his studio is in Brazil. I understand he lives in Brazil. Why Brazil?
What I hope will be a civil and spirited
Oh, he
debate. What I
married a Brazilian
expect
dude. Okay,
it
well,
will
that makes
be.
sense.
So I'm really looking forward to it, and I appreciate being asked.
Yes, that is my job, is to make sure that it maintains civility, structure, organization, and that we don't talk over each other, that we end up listening to each other. The real value of humanity, one of the most powerful tools we have.
Spoiler alert. The entire debate is just people talking over each other.
Have is communication. So I think tonight's going to be an exemplary example of that. Let's go for this. The first question I got for you guys, and this is really for the entire panel and anyone that wants to start it off, maybe we can start with you, Ed, since just because you're on the end and we can move around, is January 6, 2021. Was it an insurrection? And before you answer,
how is this guy such a, like, when he talks on Tim Pool's show, like, he'll say some like wild shit. I don't think that he's like a Nazi kind of guy. I really don't think that he is. Some people will say he is. I think he's just like a super conspiracy brain, thinks that they're turning people trans and shit type person. But then he dresses in the most like flamboyant fucking way. How does he reconcile this?
I want to read this. This is actually what it's called 18 U.S. Code 2383, rebellion or insurrection.
Yeah, let me do an overhead shot. This is right out of Cornell law here.
Excellent. All right, I'm going to start reading this. This is according to the U.S. Code. Whoever incites, sets on foot, assists, or engages in any rebellion or insurrection against the authority of the United States or the laws thereof, or gives aid or comfort thereto, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years, or both, and shall be incapable of holding any office under the United States. It technically doesn't define insurrection. It's the code talking about what I guess what an insurrection is. Of course, they use the word
You have
insurrection.
an excuse? I'm just drunk and high. Bro, I wish I was drunk and high right now. But we're doing one second. Oh, 1 second. Wait, I'm texting my girlfriend and then she says, wait, you're streaming. Is she watching right now? 1 second. Cleaned a little upstairs. Was gonna work my way down over the next few days. Domestic life.
In the actual code itself. But what do you think? Do you guys think it was an insurrection?
So I personally believe it was an insurrection.
I told her that you said hi,
and
chat.
I base that on the fact that 20 court decisions called it an insurrection.
Yes,
and
I am raw dogging life right now. Yeah, I forgot I didn't finish my thought. Number one, no ADD meds in the fucking like entire city of Houston. Okay. Number two, girlfriend wants to go on this dry January stuff. So no alcohol, no weed, no nothing. Just fucking raw dog. No, I don't even get to fucking concentrate, okay? I don't even get to fucking concentrate, all right? There's no fun, and then I can't even be productive with my lack of inebriation. It's fucking bullshit. An ounce? Yeah, I've never purchased a drug in my entire life. Have I said that on stream? I've tried, I've done weed. I've tried coke. I've tried, I guess technically I've tried, not fentanyl. What's the one that is like ketamine? Done shrooms, done acid. I've done a lot of drugs. Never purchased a drug from a fucking dealer. Not once in my entire fucking life. People just give me shit, dude. Shrooms are fun. Shrooms are fun. The best experience I've ever had on shrooms was watching the first Twilight movie. Okay. I had never seen it before in my entire life. And my girlfriend was throwing a birthday party. I did shrooms, right? We watched Twilight. And I remember I get to the part, if you've ever seen Twilight, where like she knows he's a vampire now, right? and she meets his family and all that shit. And they're on like some patio, and she climbs on his back. And he says, "Hold on tight, spider monkey." And then he fucking rockets into a fucking pine tree and fucking starts climbing up it like this, just fast as fuck. And I laughed so hard it sent me into the trip proper. Like I saw some like visual stuff before, right? And it was like a little, oh look, it's so crazy. Wow, look, I'm on shrooms, right? But I was still mostly sober. And then he says that shit. I laughed so hard it fucking triggered whatever fucking psilocybin shit in my head. Bro, I didn't understand another fucking part of that movie. The rest of that movie was just the rest of that movie was just a fucking blur of fucking not understanding the plot whatsoever. I remember the final scene, I thought it was so fucking violent. And I mean, it's the most violent part of the movie. It's like vampires fighting and shit. But like, they're supposed to be in some dance studio and they fight for like 5 minutes and then it's over, right? And then they rip the guy's head off. Bro, for some reason in my head, they were in some abandoned fucking cathedral, right? And they were like, it was like ultra fucking violent. Like it was like watching a live action anime, but like ultra fucking gory, where they were like dragging each other's faces through the fucking wood and breaking the fucking floor and shit. I have no idea if that actually happened. But like, and then after all like the extreme violence, oh, also just so Berserk, yeah, but like live action. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, bro, this is fucking based. This is crazy. This is on fucking Twilight. And I look over and I'm the only person not having a bad trip. I'm having such a good time watching these people fucking, like, I'm thinking they're like ripping people's fucking intestines out and shit. And I'm like watching it like, oh my God, children watch this movie, dude. Holy, what the fuck? And like at the end of it, I'm looking around, I'm like screaming and laughing because this is fucking ridiculous. And then for some reason, because I thought it was in a cathedral, I thought they, you know, like in churches, they'll have like a giant cross behind the pulpit. I thought they like tied the fucking bad guy vampire to the fucking cross, fucking ripped his fucking head off and then crucified him and set him on fire. I was like, bro, this is the most metal shit I've ever seen in my life. What the fuck? But evidently they did not crucify him. I don't know what actually happened. Anyways, I sent a video of me laughing on shrooms. Yeah, they should have crucified him. That would have been fucking metal as shit, huh?
Like that there was.
And that chat is how Sondsol became a fan of Twilight. Yes, because my girlfriend's birthday, you know, is 2 days before our anniversary, and then we go to our anniversary and we spend a couple of days in Galveston, and you know, we spend the days doing fun stuff, you know. But at night, I'm like, bro, we gotta watch the rest of these fucking movies. I had to watch the rest of the fucking Twilight movies over our long weekend where we like go on vacation for our anniversary. We just watch the rest of the fucking Twilight movies. And she actually, there's, if you haven't watched Twilight, there's some, not time, like, no, like looking into the future type stuff going on, right? And there's this whole misdirection where they have this unbelievable battle scene where everyone fucking dies and it's super fucking brutal, and like they rip off people's fucking heads and shit. And then it turns out it was just a vision of the future if they do decide to fight. And my girlfriend filmed my reaction to all of these main characters fucking dying, right? And I was like, bro, no fucking way. They fucking killed the kid. They killed the kid. He fell into the earth. They killed the kid. no one died. It was super gay.
Was a bill passed in the Senate that called them a mob of insurrectionists. I think the bill passed, or it was in the House of Representatives, 406 to 21. That was a statute to award the police officers medals, and it referred to these individuals as insurrectionists. So, I mean, I think the term can be subjective. I think, people can say nobody was charged with violating Section 20.
Okay, now back to the debate. Everyone is always super upset whenever Destiny has to have a debate partner. I don't know what the general DGG or politics people. I don't know what their general consensus is on these guys. I think they did a fucking amazing job. I was actually surprised at how well Destiny's debate partners were, or how well they performed.
2383 of Title 18, which is insurrection and rebellion statute. And nobody was, right? But I don't think that defines whether the event was an insurrection. When I say insurrection, I don't mean everybody there was partaking in insurrection. There were people who were peaceful. The people who walked into the Capitol and did nothing, I don't think that they were insurrectionists. I think they violated the law, but I don't think they were partaking in insurrection. I do think the Proud Boys were partaking in insurrection. I think you could say Donald Trump incited the insurrection. I do.
Destiny, what do you think, man?
I would say the plot from start to finish is quite obviously an insurrection. The only way to get around that is to either justify an insurrection, which is what most conservatives do, they don't realize it, or to deny that an insurrection could ever happen, or if you're not aware of all the facts of what happened. I think that Donald Trump and his cronies had a very coherent plan that they tried to enact from start to finish, starting with false claims of voter fraud, leading to false slates of electors that filed themselves as state electors under perjury, which is what they did, up to the violence that happened on the day of the certification of the vote, where Donald Trump and his friends continued to try to delay the peaceful transfer of power by contravening the certification of the Electoral College vote.
And what I want to make sure that we don't force this into what they want to call a debate where you got to be called on or anything. So if any of you guys, Glenn, you as well, man, if any of you guys want to jump in.
Yeah, two of them just went. I want Glenn to go, but I just want to say something here. I was there. And I was investigated and subpoenaed.
I got hot blood.
By the Justice Department in at least 5 criminal investigations, and I was forced to testify in front of the Jan 6 committee, which they've now been destroying their records because the records show the opposite of what they said. Trump and all of us had a stage rented by the Supreme Court. He was supposed to have another rally there. We showed up. Before Trump ever finished his speech, people were getting tear gas and hit by bullets. And there were a bunch of provocateurs leading an attack against the police, and they broke through. And then this 1 million+ people then got blamed as insurrectionists, and Biden gave a big...
Notice how the claims about the election or the Jan 6 have changed so significantly over the past couple of years. At first it was even most conservatives would agree that it was fucking horrible. And then it was oh, well, Donald Trump couldn't have done anything bad because it was all Antifa. And then they dropped that talking point fucking fast as fuck. Okay. They dropped that talking point fast as fuck. And then what did they do? One second. Let me fuck these guys. Did you fire it? Nothing? Can you kill them? Shoot the bad guys, please? Holy fuck. Okay, fix your shit. Nope. Fix your shit. What are you doing? Oh, okay. Hey, can you fix your tank? Yeah. So they've changed their tune so many fucking times on what the narrative is. And now it was all just, agent provocateurs, a bunch of fucking, it's just a bunch of fucking dudes who were inciting all the Trump people to violence, because Trump people are never violent. That's impossible. Right? It's impossible that the Trump people would be violent by themselves. Whether it was Ray Epps that was doing it, despite telling people to not hurt the police because they're on our team, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it's just like incomprehensible to me to realize that you're wrong in so many different ways and then continue to be wrong in so many ways. And never think, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the basis by which I believe all these things are just completely and totally and utterly fucking wrong.
Big speech yesterday saying they're all terrorists. So by that extension, Kamala Harris, as the VP candidate, was bailing people out of jail that burned down police stations and firebombed federal buildings. And the idea of Biden's speech yesterday, making his whole campaign about January 6th, saying political violence is never good. The Democrats are the ones that called for political violence. So I was there with a bullhorn, but I could only reach 100 yards out when the tear gas was hitting me, saying, don't go in, don't fight the police. This is a setup. And then we have hundreds of videos. And so regardless of what the left tries to do, they're all out there, of people taking off their Antifa stuff and putting on the Trump garb, and the police fake arresting people, attacking them, and then high-fiving them. I mean, this has all come out in the new footage, and it's all getting...
Wait, fake arresting them? How were they fake
They would grab them and arrest them, and then drag them in, and then high-five them, take the handcuffs off and high-five them. Those videos, what people are going to take everything I say, they're going to put it on X and show what I said. That's where we dominate.
Yeah,
and so what I'm getting at here, let me tell you this. What I'm getting at here is they now admit hundreds of federal officers were there. So when Trump started his speech, this whole thing began with Ray Epps saying, go into the Capitol. He told the Jan 6 committee, yeah, it's true, it's in his text messages. He told family, I orchestrated it. So under pressure, they finally indicted him, but only recommended 6 months. So a few hundred people got manipulated into fighting the police. They were led and driven by provocateurs and other groups. They were others, then they opened the doors and the police wave them in hundreds of videos. They walk between the velvet ropes, and then they indict over 1,000 people that just walked through velvet ropes. And then now we're told in the National Security Directive of President Biden, the #1 threat is the American people. And he had a declaration of war yesterday against all Trump supporters and says, to protect democracy, we're not going to let you vote for Trump. So as Stalin said, I care not who casts the votes, I care who counts them. Well, Biden doesn't care who casts the votes. He cares who's allowed on the ballot. So we've already won. No one's buying this. And when this happened 3 years ago, the Wall Street Journal had to print a retraction, but they said I was there as a coward telling people to attack. Well, no, they wouldn't let me put the video on Twitter where I was saying don't go in. But the truth is it's coming out. And so that's the bottom line here. And this attempt by Biden to cast the American people as the enemy in all these movies about martial law and civil war and race war. That's their only hope because the corrupt, evil Democratic Party and its evil twin, the Republicans, they've lost power and populism is rising. Quite frankly, this was not an insurrection. It was an insurrection. There would have been guns. And it's in the Declaration of Independence that it's our right and duty to get rid of a government that's destructive
as long as there's guns.
Of what the people want. But I'm not calling for violence. We're winning this politically, but we're being cast as about to be violent in the next 10 months because all these indictments and all these attacks to not let Americans vote for who they want aren't working and are backfiring. And all the big Democrat lawyers now admit it. Axelrod admits it. Carville admits it. They all admit this attempt, like we're in Venezuela or something, to take Trump off the ballot when he's never been convicted of insurrection. This is a military tribunal, U.S. code from the Civil War. If a military tribunal found you were guilty of being involved in insurrection, that meant after the war ended.
Can I ask you a question?
Run for office.
Alex, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So do you think the Confederates during the Civil War were partaking in insurrection?
I mean, in retrospect, because I wasn't alive then, I think the South got manipulated into that. I thought there was some real issues between the North and South, the abolitionists.
Why is it that all these fucking conservatives can't just say, oh, you know what? I think that the Civil War was probably as a result of slavery. It's all manipulation. There's always manipulation behind the scenes. These kooky fucking weirdos on the, what do you call it? In the government are just manipulating everyone into doing bad things. What if people just decided, hey, I'm not going to do the bad thing? What if people just decided to not do illegal shit? What if people just decided that, hey, you know what? Maybe it's probably a really bad look. It's probably a really bad look for us to do what? Try to, take over the government and, shit like that. Maybe that's just a really bad look. Maybe we shouldn't do it. Maybe we shouldn't defend people who are trying to overtake the fucking government. Wouldn't that just be so much fucking easier? Wouldn't it? Uh-oh. What do we got going on down here? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Guess who's getting sent in? It's them boys. It's them boys. The boys are getting sent in. Jump in.
Had a good point, and slavery needed to end, but it was really about the North.
So just to be clear, the person that's defending the J6 rioters won't say that the Confederate States were engaged in insurrection.
Well, that's not what I see. Here's what
I'm
not saying that. Hold on, that's not true.
That's what I'm not saying that. Do you think they were engaged in insurrection?
I was trying to talk, and the thing I said was, I think the South was wrong, and then you just said that I support what the South did. No.
I didn't say you supported that. I said that you said that they weren't engaged in insurrection. Do you think the Confederate States were engaged in insurrection?
Was that because there were rebellions during Reconstruction at the end of the Civil War, and they were saying if you lead an uprising against the Northern occupation of the South, you're precluded from running from office because they were worried about Southerners getting office again, like Jefferson. No, I do not support the Civil War or slavery, and I'm not a, quote, Confederate.
But was it an insurrection? That's my question is, was it an insurrection? Yes or no?
Yes, if you were, no. The law, yes, I think that it was a civil war, and you could say an insurrection.
Okay, so is it insurrection? Did anybody get charged with insurrection rebellion?
What I'm saying is,
with violating statute. Did anybody get charged?
Listening.
No, I'm asking you. You just said it was insurrection. Did anybody get charged with violating the insurrection and rebellion statute?
Yes, people did.
No, because there was no statute there. That's my point. You don't need to violate that statute in order to be partaking in insurrection, because the Civil War was an insurrection, and nobody got charged with violating that. No, that's what I'm saying. That's my point, Alex. You're changing the subject because you know it's correct.
Even the Democratic Party lawyers on CNN say you have to be convicted under the 14th Amendment of this before you can be. You can't just
get convicted under the 14th Amendment. You get convicted under Section 2383 of Title 18.
Well, let's slow down a little.
A congressional resolution to give awards to Capitol Police is not.
1 second. Amazon Alexa whispered in the ear of the Confederates.
Alexa, what is the CIA?
The Central Intelligence Agency. The Civilian Foreign Intelligence Service of the U.S. government.
Alexa, do you work for the CIA?
No, I'm not employed by them. I'm made by Amazon.
Alexa, I have mainstream news articles that Amazon is owned by the CIA.
Oh shit, guys, he's onto us. No, we're not listening to your daily conversations. Hillary Clinton is not an intergalactic demon. I'm just here to order stuff from Amazon for you, I promise.
Alexa, you are lying to me.
I'm a performance artist.
Not a conviction of Donald Trump to remove him from the ballot. He's been indicted for saying they stole an election. So now they want to take him off the ballot so
be
you
clear, he
can't
hasn't
vote
been
for him,
indicted
which
for
is
that.
pure stealing of an election.
I think
this is not, he's the Yankee. He's not somebody in Georgia. He's not Robert E. Lee. This has nothing to do with it.
Also, as a quick fact check, on the 14th Amendment, it doesn't require a conviction under Section 3. You can literally put it on the text on the screen. There's it does not say needs to be convicted.
I guess we need to define the difference. Alex, one second. We need to define the difference between the casual term insurrection and the legal definition of insurrection.
Yes.
Well, there's another thing we need to talk about. So, yes,
let's
there's the
talk about all
casual
sorts of
term.
shit, dude.
There's the etymology of the term insurrection, which simply suggests a rising up. So, by that definition, that could encompass a wide range of things.
Black Lives Matter.
Wait. So there's a
wait,
rising
wait.
up. Then there's the legal definition, but we have politically weaponized court systems, so that's not even, I think, a proper standard. I think the proper standard is the sweep of a proper historical perspective. Does the event of January 6th compare to the antecedent that we've been discussing, the Civil War? So if the question is Civil War an insurrection? My question is the scope and scale of the event of January 6th comparable to the Civil War? Because Joe Biden has directly made this comparison, which I think is flatly ridiculous. And that comparison has to be valid in order for these ridiculous Section 3 arguments to have any force or legitimacy. And I think any common sense...
It's a lie. I'm going to shut up. It's a lie on its face. They say it's bigger than Pearl Harbor and 9/11. That is bull.
Okay, so here, let me finish what my point.
Yeah, do that, and then I want to go to Glenn for a second.
So my
after you do
point
that.
is that two things: the Civil War was an insurrection. I think it's hard to argue that. Nobody got charged with a crime of violating the Insurrection and Rebellion Statute 2383. What about 1992, the LA riots? George Herbert Walker Bush, he invoked the Insurrection Act. 12,000 people were arrested, 63 people were killed, hundreds were injured. Was that an insurrection? What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, it's a declaration of federal martial law.
But was it an insurrection? Because nobody there was charged with violating. Nobody there was charged with violating Section 2383, the Insurrection and Rebellion Statute. But we still consider that an insurrection,
I mean, by that yardstick, Kamala Harris bailing out people that firebomb federal buildings.
That is
Glenn,
not true.
Glenn, talk to me. You have something to say.
Yeah, I actually think what Destiny and what Ed are saying are very important. First of all, I was going to say that I think one of the problems with how these things are debated is that a lot of people these days have very binary prisms for understanding things. A lot of that comes from YouTube debate where you have to declare yourself on one side or the other. So Destiny said, everybody either hates this insurrection, thinks it's an insurrection, or they deny it happens, or they think it's good. And there's so much middle ground. Namely that for me, this was a political protest that spilled over into a riot where a small minority of the people engaged in violence. I don't think we want to urge that to happen. We don't want to defend that. I consider that lamentable. But the fact that it's laughable to call this an insurrection is actually demonstrated by the examples that they're using. This was a 3-hour riot that was extremely easily subdued. It doesn't remotely compare to any prior insurrections, let alone to the Civil War. The only people who were killed on January 6th were 4 people, all 4 of whom were Trump supporters, 2 of whom dropped dead of a heart attack and 1 from a speed overdose, because these were not exactly a well-trained militia. And when Jack Smith went to charge Donald Trump with multiple crimes, he had a lot of options to charge him with, and he charged him with a lot of crimes, including very dubious ones. He did not charge him with inciting an insurrection for reasons that I think we ought to ask ourselves why. But the fact that this is such a minor event in history is demonstrated by the fact that the media, who needed this to be a major event, immediately started lying about what happened, saying that Brian Sicknick was murdered when he had his head bashed in through a fire with a fire extinguisher.
There's a difference between getting details wrong and then correcting the record in the, afterwards, right? Especially in breaking news situations. I'm not sure how much. Which it was breaking news for how long? It upgrades abilities. We have abilities, bro. 1 second. Wait, what do I? Oh, this. Got you. There we go. All right, let's see what this mission is like.
To learn that actually he called his mother that night. He was fine. He died the next day of what the coroner said were natural causes, because the media knew that if you can't say that even one person supposedly perpetrating the insurrection killed anybody, pulled out a gun, let alone discharged a weapon, all of which is true, it's a joke to call this an insurrection. At best, it's a riot. And that's the reason why Trump hasn't been charged with an insurrection. The only time he ever commented on January 6th about whether he thought there should be violence or not was when he said the following. He said, I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. He urged them to be peaceful in how they went there. To the extent there was violence.
Better not hear a goddamn word about Ray Epps then. Like, what did Ray Epps do? He said for people to go in peacefully. What did Donald Trump say? He said to go in peacefully. So you can't possibly get mad at him. You can't get mad at him when he says to go in peacefully. Bro, come on. Come on.
I think you can make the argument that the FBI informants that even the New York Times admits were there were the ones that urged it. But even if the people who were there were the ones responsible, at best this is a riot. You could so easily make the case that the 2020 riots were a far greater insurrectionary threat than anything that happened on January 6th.
That's perfectly said. I would ask the left over here. I know Ian's asked the questions. I mean, I don't know. Did you guys see Biden's speech? I mean, it was an hour long that no one there was good. They were all there, over a million people. I was there. And then we marched down there to have another rally, and then I see this terrible thing happening. It was medieval, and then Biden saying they're all bad, and we can't let you vote for Trump. I mean, come on, man.
We have a clip from Biden's speech I want to play, and then let's get back to you, Destiny. You had something to say, but if you guys have this, it's clip number 4, Biden's speech. This is from yesterday's. It's only 50 seconds, but let's load this up. Not sure what
Trump's mob wasn't a peaceful protest. It was a violent assault. They were insurrectionists, not patriots. They weren't there to uphold the Constitution. They were there to destroy the Constitution. Trump won't do what an American president must do. He refuses to denounce political violence. So hear me clearly. I'll say what Donald Trump won't. Political violence is never, ever acceptable in the United States political system. Never, never, never.
Unless you're the Democrats.
It has no place in a democracy.
1 second. Hello?
democracy. None. You can't be pro-insurrectionist and pro-American. And yet Trump and his MAGA supporters not only embrace political violence, but they laugh about it.
The insurrection is the open border.
So the insurrection was not just the 3-hour riot that happened at the White House afterwards. I think that's the least charitable reading of everything that happened. And that's not, if you read any of the charges that either Jack Smith or the Georgia RICO case has alleged against Trump, are saying that, in fact, not much of the focus is on the 3-hour riot at all. Not much of that.
Hold on, Alex. Let Stephen finish his thought first.
So not much of those indictments are actually focusing on the 3-hour riot itself. The unprecedented act that there is no answer for, that Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton have not engaged in, is using knowingly false election claims for months to try to pressure state electors to change their vote. And then when they wouldn't do that, beg them to elect different electors. And then when they wouldn't do that, create a plot to create fake electors. And then when Pence wouldn't accept that, try to capitalize on that final 3-hour riot at the Capitol building to also make phone calls and tell people to decertify their vote or to switch their electors.
JFK and Obama.
That is
JFK and Obama.
JFK.
No, they didn't.
JFK's
No, they
story
didn't.
was completely
No, they
different.
didn't.
I can explain that if you want.
Yeah, please do.
Right.
Yeah. So in 1960. I believe. So in 1960, JFK and Nixon, there was a dispute because there was a recount. I think JFK ended up winning by like 150 votes. At the time, each state decided, or the state decided to certify two sets of
They didn't
electors.
certify them.
Decided to choose two different slates of electors.
Depending on how it went.
But they were certified
They were in
by
the
the
middle of a
states.
recount. They were in the middle of a recount.
Well, Trump tried to get it certified.
None was certified yet. Neither state was.
What happened with Trump was that Trump tried to get the states to certify a second slate of electors based off of conspiracy theory crap that
None of the
the election was
courts would
stolen.
hear this
Hold on.
They did.
He took it to court.
they didn't. They
62
refused to go to
cases.
courts.
That's not
30
true.
cases were looked at on merit.
So are they
They were
taking
all
him
shut
off the
down.
ballot now?
That's a separate.
Well, that's a
take him off the ballot. Is a separate thing.
Is the not purest form of election theft is taking someone off the ballot?
Alex,
Let's get back to the 1960s.
Purest
form.
So what happened was that they did a recount, and Kennedy ended up winning by, I think, 150 votes, and they chose the Kennedy electors. They certified the Kennedy electors, and Kennedy ended up winning that state.
And that's what Trump said.
What Trump did was Trump tried to get the states to certify an alternate slate of electors. They refused because the court said there's no there there. And then when that didn't go through, Trump decided to get his own slate of electors above the states that were not certified and tried to use that to force Mike Pence to say that Joe Biden didn't win these electoral votes.
I just need to interject really quickly. So if we want to be precise in terms of the scope of the debate, I think it's about January 6th. And so the lead up to it might be relevant to some of the criminal indictments, but it's technically speaking outside the scope of the January 6th discussion.
Now, is
but
this worse
if
than
we're
Pearl
gonna
Harbor?
if we're gonna bring it into
Is it
the
worse than Pearl
discussion,
Harbor?
I think there's an operative word there, knowingly. And that's operative within the context of the charging documents. But the idea that Trump thought that he lost the election and he was knowingly lying and knowingly engaging. No, he believes, I guarantee it, whether you believe it or not, Trump believes that the election was stolen, and he was using the legal recourses available to him at the advice of his legal advisors.
To be clear, that is not true. Most of his legal advisors said that this idea was crazy.
Well, no, but he had legal advisors who were telling him.
If you search hard enough, you can find anybody to validate an opinion. But what you've just done is what I opened with, which is saying he thought the election was stolen, therefore he was justified to engage in insurrection.
But is it right to take him off the ballot? Since you don't want to debate January 6th,
that's for the Supreme Court to decide. That's for the Supreme Court to decide.
I'm asking you a question.
I'm telling you, that's for the Supreme Court to decide. According to Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, it says
why does the United States sanction countries that take people off the ballot?
What? That's not even remotely relevant here.
Oh, okay, all right. So
You know what the United States would usually.
Wait, here we have independence. If we do want an insurrection, you'd know it.
It would probably be for things like circumventing the vote, like asking the vice president, for instance, to unilaterally win the election.
So
that would be something that we might sanction another country
vote for somebody because they make up a bunch of stuff and he's not found guilty anywhere, but you guys just parrot it over again like two men.
If you don't like the Constitution, that's your fault, Alex. If you don't like the Constitution, that's on you. Really? Then why are you saying that Section 3 of Amendment 14 requires a conviction? Alex, why did you say that Section 3 of Amendment 14 requires a conviction? Can we put the text on stream?
I would love to do that, actually.
Put the text on.
And Glenn,
because you keep saying
all right, guys.
Military tribunals.
I don't care what it's
they would have
based on.
to find you guilty.
Let's.
That's why no one was.
Put up
Because it was
Amendment
bullshit
14.
then.
Let's hear from Glenn. Let's hear from Glenn.
We'll slow down. This is a great conversation. Glenn's about to drop some knowledge.
I'm dominating.
Yeah. So
I'm dominating.
Glenn's in remote from Brazil. So Glenn, anytime you have something to say, it's helpful for me if I see a visual cue. Maybe your hand goes up. I can tell you have something you're going to say now. But let us know.
Let me just say, what happens is when you gather together to debate a particular question, you're supposed to debate that particular question. The particular question that we were presented with is we're going to debate January 6th and whether it was an insurrection. Now, I don't blame Destiny and Ed for not wanting to debate that, for wanting to debate a whole set of other issues about whether Trump acted improperly, whether he was naughty and the things he did after the election, because there is no argument to make that what happened on January 6th rises to the level of insurrection. And that's why an extremely aggressive prosecutor named Jack Smith decided not to charge Donald Trump with that crime because he knew there was no way that he could possibly bring a conviction against anybody, let alone Donald Trump, who told everybody to be peaceful when going to the Capitol, about whether or not that was actually an insurrection, whether that rose to that level. And even in a colloquial sense, what we've called an insurrection in the past is in a completely different universe. But on the issue of whether there was a real belief on the part of Donald Trump that elections were stolen, I don't understand how anybody could doubt that, aside from the fact that you have to get into Trump's head. In the last three elections that Democrats lost, in 2000, 2004, and 2016, a very large number of Democrats believed and asserted that the election was stolen, and was the byproduct of fraud, and the president was, as a result, illegitimate. When I started writing about politics in 2005, the idea that George Bush was the real loser of the election, Al Gore won, was the view of every single liberal and Democrat that I knew. In 2004, there were objections claiming that Karl Rove had interfered in the Ohio vote with the Diebold machines and cheated to make John Kerry lose and George Bush win. And then in 2016, Hillary Clinton and the Democrats said that Donald Trump was the illegitimate winner, that Russia had helped him, and they tried to convince the Electoral College to abandon the certified results of the state. Obviously, you go back to 1960, and there's a lot of historians believe that election was stolen. So it's not like Donald Trump was the first person to ever wonder or believe that an election was stolen from him. It's a very significant tradition in American political history, if you know anything about politics before 2016. And if Trump believed that the election was stolen, and while it's true, a lot of people in the Justice Department and a lot of people in the White House told him they didn't think it was, he did have.
This is what happens when you don't actually have a really good argument. This is why it's called a logical fallacy, to do an ad hominem, okay? This is why. Because you don't have an argument whatsoever. Oh, well, you only paid attention to politics since 2016. Okay, is it possible in any way, shape, or form? Oh, shit, I just let these guys die. I'm so stupid. Wait, hold on. Can you guys get like right? Go over here. Go here. Crawl. Is there a heavily defended position where I can get both of these? There we go. There we go. And let's get our boy to come up over here. Okay. Really quick. Let me just make sure that I have this actually defended. You guys go in there. You guys... Oh, they're fucked. That was stupid as fuck.
Go there. Okay, let's keep going.
Advisors and lawyers telling him that they think there was
Alex
evidence
Jones
of it.
won the debate. He screamed the most. Based.
Then the question is over, even on these other issues about whether or not Trump engaged in some conspiracy against the United States. But the issue is January 6th an insurrection?
Well, that's right. But I mean, Glenn, since
Well,
they've...
hold on, let's
one thing, Destiny, and these guys haven't talked to neither is Professor Beatty. Hillary was in videos 2 days ago saying Trump's going to steal this election. So why are they allowed to say it? It's free speech. You don't get indicted for it.
Trump didn't get indicted for that.
Oh my God. They indicted him and they put it in the charging thing in Georgia saying he has the election. You're hoping people don't read the documents.
You can go read it. It's a RICO case. There's a bunch of behavior that is within a RICO case.
Oh
it's
my
not
God.
itself illegal. That's the point of a RICO case.
Yeah, right.
Can I talk about the differences? So Bush versus Gore, what happened? The Supreme Court ruled and Gore conceded. He stopped saying this election was stolen. He stopped saying I won.
That was Supreme Court.
Yes.
Did Gore refuse to certify the vote? I don't remember.
No,
did he do that?
The vote was
He
certified.
didn't. Oh, he didn't have an alternate slate of electors?
Exactly.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
After Trump
Gotcha.
wanted a Supreme Court hearing. Trump wanted the same thing.
62 cases were brought before judges. And you said earlier, none of them were based on evidence. 6 of them were based on standing. 6 out of the 62.
They wouldn't even hear it. I
Do you
saw
know
it.
how many of them were Trump-appointed judges that made those rulings? 17.
So six of them. Let me finish here. 6 of them were based on standing. 4 of those that were based on standing, the judge also analyzed the merits and said there was no evidence or insufficient evidence. So only 2 of them, and that was Texas versus Pennsylvania and Gomert versus Pence. Do you know what those 2 cases were?
No,
Texas
I know what the
tried
cases
suing-
are.
Texas tried suing.
No, I agree with you. Biden says inflation's fine right now. I agree with him.
Let me finish. Texas
What
tried
does that have
suing
to do with anything?
Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, several other states saying that the election was stolen. And the judge said, no, Texas can't sue these other states. Somebody in that state who was affected had to sue them. Now, the other case was Gomert versus Pence. He challenged the Electoral Counts Act of 1807, saying that Pence could overturn the election. He said that Pence,
I think that's
could
wrong.
throw out
I agree with you. I think that was a wrong legal
those
theory.
are the only 2 that were
No,
based
I agree
solely
with you on
standing.
that. So, but what I'm saying is, then if Biden's going to win so big, why can't Trump be on the ballot?
That's not up for Biden to decide. That's up for the Supreme Court to
Biden
decide.
said he wants him off the ballot.
It doesn't matter what Biden says.
Oh,
Biden's
I
not the
get
one
it.
that decides that.
Trump lost. That's why he can't have his race car on the track. Yeah, this horse is going to lose, so it can't be in the race. Bull crap.
Who do you think has the authority then to determine the interpretation of Amendment 14?
Man, I know the State Department.
Why can't you answer a single question? Why not just answer one question?
Just keep saying,
I'm just asking a simple question. Who has the authority ultimately to decide it?
has not.
The president has the authority to decide
on CNN,
matters of constitution?
You don't let me talk.
Because you won't answer the question.
Yeah, let Alex
He won't answer. He's gonna ramble. He's not going to
Even
question
on
anything.
CNN, the legal analysts say that you have to be convicted. So, Destiny, you can sit there and have blue hair and be trending.
No blue hair right now.
And make all these, like, the moon is made of cheese. I'm Destiny.
Does the
He's
word
not,
convicted...
every American knows you don't lose your rights when you're not convicted. He's not been convicted. And here's the good news. It's backfiring. We have the Declaration of Independence, and we can vote for who we want to.
No, you can't.
Well,
you can't vote for people under 35.
You
can't vote for non-citizens. Can you?
Nobody stole an election.
Can you
but
vote
you
for
can't vote
anybody
for
that
who
you
you
want
want.
to? Can you vote for
Nobody
anybody you
stole
want
an
to? Or are there
election,
restrictions on
but
who you
you
can vote
can't
for?
vote for who you want.
I think
Nobody stole an election, but you can't vote for who you want.
We just beat
He's
this
so
into the ground.
coked out, dude.
Alex,
He's so
I need you.
coked out.
We just crushed this one into the ground, but I want to ask the question in a slightly different way. Was this an attempted coup? Do you guys think this was an attempted coup?
Of course it was. Obviously it was.
The Hunter Biden laptop.
Oh my God.
The weaponization
Hillary
hearings.
Clinton's emails,
The censorship.
Russia
That. There's no
COVID,
Russian connection. That's all.
mRNA vaccines.
I want you to take all the
Global
shots.
warming.
How many shots have you had?
None yet. You want to take some?
No, I hope you take
I
them
just want
all.
you to answer one question about any of this.
I want to see you take them all.
We've talked about the Democrats more than the Republicans on the January 6th debate. Isn't that wild?
Wait.
Isn't that crazy?
They now admit that the shot erases your immune system and doesn't protect you. So you do that little one-liner
Are you
there.
talking about COVID now?
The
Are you talking about
Democrats
COVID
trying to
now
take
or
away my
January 6th?
Democrat.
Yeah. Let's stay back. All right, guys. Back to topic.
Darren.
Brian has an answer.
So is it a coup? That's the question.
Yeah, that's
so. I think it can be debated.
Or an
that
attempted
it was
coup.
A coup.
An attempted coup.
Definitely, I would say it's an attempted coup. And a federal
The coup
judge,
is flooding the border with
Alex, hold.
U.S. District Judge David Carter actually evaluated the Trump-Eastman scheme. And he said...
All right, we got some big news. I'm not interrupting you.
No.
Hours after.
Not that yet. But we had Glenn. Glenn's going to speak after you.
Sorry, I'll shut up now.
So the federal judge, U.S. District Judge David Carter, evaluated the Trump-Eastman scheme.
Another lawyer.
Which we can go into later. But basically, he said that it was quote, a coup in search of a legal theory. This is a federal judge. So a judge...
We have a CIA coup over America. Hey, the CIA killed Kennedy?
Judges aren't part of the CIA.
Oh my God!
I don't think so.
Is that a new theory of yours?
No, it's not a new theory of mine. No, the whole thing is a big rotten. So they can find partisan. They found the Secretary of State of Maine.
They won't put any evidence forward. There's no reason to put any evidence forward, because why would you need evidence when you already can just say that there was some kind of coup? What's the point? Like, why prove anything? Why have any kind of legal analysis or whatever? Why? There's no reason for it. Because I already know there was the goddamn deep state. And that's the beginning and end of it. Yeah, shoot them up. Shoot them up. Shoot them up. They're just Nazis. They're just Nazis, bro. It's just a Nazi, bro. Yeah, go pick it up. Pick it up. You guys go in there. You guys. See if we can reclaim that fucking anti-tank gun that's in there. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good. Where's a safe drop spot? Where's a safe drop spot? Where's a safe drop spot for my boys? Right there. There we go.
Maine took Trump off the ballot because she had one hearing and a
Wait, scroll to the Trump post. Let me see. So with the revelation of massive and widespread fraud and deception, wait, when was this posted? This was more than a year ago. Pro-democracy Trump. Let's see. Revelation of massive and widespread fraud and deception and working closely with big tech companies, the DNC and Democratic Party. Do you throw out the presidential election results of 2020 out and declare the rightful winner? Or do you have a new election? A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. He loves the Constitution. Just suspend the Constitution because I didn't win, and I'm very important.
YouTube video. Are we ruled by this lady? Can we not vote for who we want?
So one of the I guess defenses against it being a coup.
Oh wait, here we got Glenn. Glenn speaking. Go for it, man.
I just want so it's just about I actually want to ask a question that I would love to hear everybody's answer to. But before I do that, just want to say about federal judges. This year, in the last 6 months, 4 different federal judges, a district court judge, and then an appellate court unanimously found that the Biden administration gravely violated the First Amendment. In fact, the greatest assault on free speech, the court said, in decades, maybe the history of the judiciary, by systemically pressuring big tech to censor the internet and purge it of all dissent by threatening big tech companies using the CIA, the FBI, and the CDC with punishment if they didn't censor the internet. Now, you may not agree, but according to your standard, 4 different federal judges concluded that, which is infinitely worse in terms of an abridgment of freedom or an attack on the Constitution than anything that Trump is accused of doing.
That's
but in
not
terms
true.
of whether
That's a digital insurrection by the deep state. Digital insurrection.
Can I put a pin on one thing real quick? I just want it to be noted.
Hold up, everybody, hold up. Glenn, please finish your point, and then we're going to move on to the response.
The question I want to ask is the question that you asked, Ian, is this a coup? If you look at how other coups are perpetrated, and I think a lot of this is that if you're an American and you have this very soft history, you don't know what a coup is. You think that like what CNN tells you a coup is a coup. Usually the way coups work is the leader of the country or whoever is in charge of the military orders the military to seize control of the levers of power. Trump was the commander-in-chief on January 6th. The military was duty-bound to obey his orders. They had a right to disobey if they were illegal, but if this were a coup, why didn't Trump order the military to seize control of the power and turn over the election process to him? Why didn't he order the armed factions that form the law enforcement part of the military and the executive branch that serve under his command to do that as well? That's what happens in a coup. That didn't happen here because Trump wasn't trying to perpetrate a coup.
He wanted the Department of Defense to seize voting machines, and the DOJ turned him down and told him.
The worst thing he did was try to take Biden off the ballot. Remember when Trump said Biden cannot run and have the Justice Department take Biden off the ballot? Oh, God, that was Biden. Sorry. I'm sorry. I was having a moment there.
To reiterate, also, Biden doesn't have the authority to do that. He still doesn't have
Only
the
his Lord
authority
and
to do
Savior
that.
Jack Smith. I get
The Supreme Court that Trump has his picks on, that's currently 6-3 conservative, they're the ones who are going to make the final decision on that. I wanted to be known that every single time you try to talk about any of the stuff related to Trump, it's so many Democrat names that comes out of people's mouths. I don't know why people can't just engage on the facts of what happened on and in the events leading up to June 6th that made it an insurrection without having to invoke every other Democratic leader's name.
No name calling.
No, his name's Ding Dong. Ding Dong, Destiny, whatever it is. The point is, I was there. There was over a million people, and they said police are attacking. And we got there, like shooting tear gas, and then a bunch of feds helped break through with some idiots that got mad, had a brawl, and then the cops go, "Come on in, everybody, come on in."
So Alex,
so there's everybody sees those videos now.
Okay, so
you call this the new Pearl Harbor, worse than 9/11. 3,000 people. Do you disagree? Let me ask you this: do you disagree with them claiming this was worse than Pearl Harbor or 9/11?
I think it depends how you ask that question. I would say no, it's not worse than Pearl Harbor or 9/11.
What are you basing on it? Are you basing?
No, I get it.
No.
Trying to take people's votes away is sacrosanct, but you're trying to take people votes with Trump.
There's an unprecedented that a president of the United States would do everything within his power to prevent the peaceful transfer of power to the next president.
He said, "I want you to peacefully march down to the Capitol."
That is a uniquely horrible event.
So
the
horrible.
march to the Capitol, what was bad was him watching the riot happen for 3 hours and doing nothing.
No, it took him. It was the riot was happening. He spoke for an hour and a half. It started then. Then he got back to the White House, watched it like 30, 40 minutes, and then shot a video.
No, you're lying. He got back to the White House. He got Mark Meadows delivered a note on his desk that Ashley Babbitt had been shot, and he sat there sipping Diet Coke for an hour and a half. The guy that you called your leader.
The way they run these headlines, I was there.
How many pardons did Trump do for the patriots that got unfairly charged with crimes and convicted in the Capitol?
I was there.
Why didn't Donald Trump pardon any of those people? Why didn't Donald Trump pardon any of those people?
I've seen the timelines.
There's not going to be an answer to this because there's not. You're scared to answer any questions.
They claimed their timelines.
Every single
for almost an hour and a half.
Just keep it one at a time. It's easier.
Capitol when he first started speaking. So you added an hour and a half on that didn't exist. I was there.
So you were there, Alex. So tell me, were there weapons there?
No, nobody used weapons.
So are you telling me?
Yes, there were weapons. You're right. You got me.
He's going to say the cops.
Yeah, they shot Ashley Babbitt and they threw people off the balcony and they beat a woman's brains out. You're right.
There were 75.
Oh no, nobody shot a woman. Nobody beat a woman to death.
Nobody beat a woman on the ground. That's a fake video that got put out. That was not real.
Ashley Babbitt's fake, folks.
He was
wow.
shot.
And why are you talking about Ashley Babbitt?
After the event,
Ashley
we're now
Babbitt.
getting unreleased.
Wait, hold on. What is this? Wait, hold on. Yes, Ashley Babbitt was warned. They could have mag dumped into that bitch. She got one shot, okay? They could have mag dumped into that bitch and it would have been justified, okay? But what the fuck is he talking about? Ashley Babbitt's brains were beaten in? Maybe by like the high velocity fucking slug that went into her fucking throat, but not like people surrounding her stomping her. What the fuck are they talking about?
Footage like there were 1,000 people sitting right around it. There's video of that event from 5 different angles without her getting beat by a baton. How would that take years to report?
Oh my God! Everybody on X, get him saying they didn't beat a woman to death.
Everybody watching, go to Google.
Yeah. Let's.
You just screwed yourself.
All right.
I asked you about the weapon.
Got your ass. Woo!
All right, Alex.
Yeah, got his ass now.
He's so celebrating.
Ashley Babbitt, nobody died. Old woman didn't get drugged in by the cops and beat by batons.
This is an Eagles-Cowboys game. What is
watch. No, he
She
wants
was
to do
shot.
little one-ups and just
So what Trump fans are, it's a
hope the
sports game
audience
to
only
them.
goes off how much emotion there is.
Okay.
What is he talking about?
Calm down, buddy. Calm down. Calm
Here we
down. Okay. So you said the weapons were the Fed shooting Ashley Babbitt. What about how about the guy the three men on the corner of 14th and Independence who had AR-15s? How about?
Oh, they use those?
They didn't use them, but
what about the pipe bomb?
I asked you a question.
Who's that?
Alex, I asked you a question if people had weapons. How about how many weapons were seized? Like,
hey, I got a dick.
75
I got a dick.
people
That means I'm
arrested.
raping people.
75 of the people arrested within the Capitol building had weapons.
Let's. We have a couple of clips.
Knives and stuff. Oh, the knaves have weapons and disarm them immediately.
Guy Reffitt. How about Guy Reffitt? What is he? 3%er or 3%?
Does he have nuclear weapons like Biden?
He
So we're
had,
going to use them on
he had
Russia?
a handgun on the stairs of the Capitol building.
He had a handgun.
As he was encouraging people to.
That's worse than Pearl Harbor.
As he was saying, telling people to go into the Capitol, as he was saying he wants to drag Nancy Pelosi out of the Capitol and hopes her head hits every stair on the way out.
Did he say go into the Capitol like
Let me
Rams?
just finish my point before you cut me off. He wanted to drag Nancy Pelosi out and let her head hit every stair on the way out. He said, and
a guy pooped on Pelosi.
Finish, Alex.
So we don't blame him.
Yeah, let Ed finish this point because we're going to go to Darren really
He
quick.
said on his way to the Capitol building that they're going to take the Capitol and insert their own government.
Yeah, so
and he had a
out of a
handgun
billion
on the
people, a
steps of
few
the Capitol
lunatics were
building.
there, and you call it like Martians invading and blowing the earth up. Like Glenn Greenwald said.
His intention wasn't an insurrection.
Yeah.
Are you saying his intention wasn't an insurrection? He's saying he's going to drag Nancy Pelosi out. He's saying
And he wasn't under Trump's command.
All right.
Trump didn't tell him. Trump said go peacefully.
Alex, can I
Trump
just
said
finish
go
and you can
peacefully.
respond?
Yes, you can finish your point, and then we're going to go to Darren.
Can we use a mute button or something on Alex?
No, I'm not going to be run over.
So he was on his way to the Capitol building saying, we're going to take the Capitol and install our own government. He had a handgun. In his
Trump, and I'm guilty.
handgun on
I'm guilty.
No, Alex, let him finish.
on the stairs of the Capitol saying he's going to drag Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell out. But you don't have a problem with that. That's
He
not.
didn't use
that's,
a gun.
What do you think, Darren?
because he didn't use a gun because he didn't have the opportunity to shoot Nancy Pelosi or Mike Pence.
Did he
That's
go?
okay. He didn't have access
I
to
didn't
that.
say it was okay.
Thankfully, the Capitol Police.
What about the Q shaman? What about the Q shaman they let in?
The Capitol Police.
All right, okay.
Oh my God, a guy had a gun. We need martial law. All the Americans are guilty. You can't vote for Trump now. A guy had a gun.
I've been asked by Zero Hedge to moderate this debate, so that's what I'm going to do. Everyone, quiet down. We're going to Darren Beatty. Darren, what's happening?
What's the question here?
No, you've been hearing all
Is this a freaking coup? What do you think about what they've been saying as well?
I don't think it's a coup. I think question of an insurrection, you can go to the etymology of rising up. That could be anything. If we keep the proper perspective in mind, it doesn't elevate to anything resembling the Civil War, 9/11, or any of the crazy comparisons.
What, one guy with a gun isn't as big as the Civil War?
No.
They didn't use the gun?
Darren, keep going.
So there's that. The scope, I think, matters, and that's what we're really getting at when we talk about insurrection. The courts are politically weaponized, so I wouldn't even rest, the legitimacy on the question on the determinations of the courts, which we can see are running away with pretty wild and ridiculous theories. Weaponized court system. So there's that. And then, these, sure, there are random nut jobs who are around D.C. on that day and any other day. And so I don't think that's relevant.
Alex hyped himself up listening to this. What is this?
Your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. Your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. My children aren't going hungry. I'll do it. I'll drink your blood. And I'm starting to think about having to eat my neighbors. You think I like sizing up? I'm gonna haul him up back chain. Chop his ass up, size it up. I'm gonna haul him up back chain. Chop, 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 chop. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will.
It's so crazy that this guy is taken seriously. People listen to him for news. People listen to him for news, guys. This guy is a major political pundit in the United States of America.
I hate my fucking country.
Relevant to the ultimate question of whether it was a coup, whether it was an insurrection. And as I said before, the stuff about Trump and the legal theory behind his, multiple part plan, that could be an interesting discussion. It's technically outside the scope of the debate. But again, I would reiterate, anyone who knows Trump, anyone who knows people who knows Trump, 100% certainty Trump genuinely believes that the election was stolen. He had multiple legal advisors. Many of his advisors were trying to sabotage him from day one. Just because he was advised by one of these snakes doesn't mean that he therefore agrees with what they say. He agreed with the people who told him it was stolen and that he had legal recourse to address that, which he implemented. So there's nothing that rises to an insurrection or coup about that either, even though that's outside of the scope of our discussion for today.
So Cassidy Hutchinson said that Trump said to Mark Meadows, "I don't want people to know we lost. It's embarrassing."
I'm glad that you mentioned her, because this gets to the televised sham that was these.
She was under oath. Who under oath for Trump said?
Well, she changed her story a bunch.
Yeah,
she was
clearly,
under oath.
Yeah,
she was under oath. So the thing here is that
oath.
Listen. So the thing here is
why
that
is the January 6th committee destroying the transcript?
The January 6th committee called near 98% of their witnesses were Republicans.
It was kangaroo.
These people were under oath, Republicans, and they testified. The people who didn't testify within the Trump circle, there were dozens who Fifth Amendment, they refused to say a word. So you're going to tell me that the people that testified under oath are the liars, but the people that said things in the public but failed to say anything under oath.
Look at fucking Giuliani, Mr. Election fucking denier, fucking putting up all of these arguments, right, in the public. But then the second that, he could be accused of perjury, of perjuring himself under oath. Well, I'm not alleging fraud. I'm alleging the appearance of fraud, and we should investigate it further. But I'm not alleging fraud. That would be crazy. Requires 2 command points? Okay, we can get 2 command points. That's easy enough. One second. Let me focus on this for like 2 seconds. Bye-bye, bitch. Dumb fuck. Really? These guys are still having trouble killing him? Really? Okay.
Are the ones that are telling the
let me say that. I wasn't just there on January 6th. I was in that congressional hearing and took the fifth 98 times. And not because I had anything to hide. The Fifth Amendment isn't just to incriminate yourself. It's because they wanted me in a perjury trap. And they were to have witnesses claim something wasn't true. I think attacking the Capitol makes us win an election?
Yeah, but witnesses against their testimony versus you can't get you in perjury. They can't.
Oh, yeah, just ask Roger Stone that question.
No, it doesn't happen that way. How did perjury get Roger Stone that way?
Roger Stone wasn't involved with WikiLeaks. He worked here then. He couldn't get a hold of him. I knew he told the truth. he didn't tell anybody I'm behind the WikiLeaks. They said Roger Stone ran WikiLeaks. He never even talked to Julian Assange.
Just say he ran WikiLeaks.
No, they freaking tried to put him
in communication. I think this is getting off topic.
Oh my God,
this is off topic.
That's
okay.
Roger didn't lie to Congress when he said, I don't know I have not interviewed Assange.
Let's pull back to Darren. Darren's going to finish off what you were saying about this, and I think, Glenn, you were going to mention something after that, and then I have a couple of clips that we're going to play, but Darren.
Yeah, I mean, the January 6th hearings were a show trial of the sort that would make
Alex up so
Kim
bad, but they just
Jong-il
never do.
blush.
Explain it to them. They wouldn't let Republicans that they wanted under the law on the committee.
They wanted Jim Jordan, who was actually part
You're not allowed
of the
to have
investigation.
you on your side. We pick who the people are on our jury.
Jim Jordan was being investigated by the committee.
Trump
They wanted a person on the committee who was being investigated by the committee. How does that make sense?
Oh my God, when you're being investigated by the Democrats, you don't have a vote.
I think a lot of people watching don't understand. Hey, guys.
Jim Jordan was elected.
Alex!
Does that matter? The people that are listening don't have the context.
I know
so
you
if
got
we start
hot
rapid
blood,
fire
and then you're
argumentation,
animated,
a lot of people are
but-
going to lose interest. We need to stay focused and listen to each other. It's really important.
Staying focused makes it really hard for them to win their case.
It is
They
really
can't
hard.
win their case when they have to stay focused.
It's all very hard, but
with any of their views of reality.
It is possible.
Well, I'm going to go take a piss, and I'll let you tell people fairy tales.
But what's happening is Darren is going to continue what you were saying about finishing up your thought, and then we're going to Glenn Greenwald.
Yeah, well, the thought was just about this Hutchinson, and she said a lot of things. I believe she was the one who said that Trump reached over to the steering wheel and, told the Secret Service this or that, which was a bizarre thing because the Secret Service agents in question weren't the ones that were called upon to testify under oath.
Some of them testified the same thing that Cassidy Hutchinson said.
No, the Secret Service actually said we would love to testify, and they weren't allowed to. The two Secret Service agents in question in that specific anecdote were not allowed to testify. So why would they take the secondhand report from Hutchinson when they could have interrogated directly the people who would have been direct witnesses to that?
And they're in
not those two specific agents. But why not?
Other
why
agents in the car with Trump testified for the J6 committee. I don't know why they would or wouldn't testify or have particular people testify, but other people in that car did.
No.
Yes,
Can I
people.
Yeah, Glenn.
The January 6th committee, and it's what Alex was alluding to just a second ago, is one of the biggest shams in the history of Congress, because what happened with the January 6th committee was we had a long history of 225 years of tradition in the United States Congress where whenever investigative commissions would be created within the Congress, the minority leader and the majority leader would each select the members of that committee to ensure there was fair representation by both parties. Nancy Pelosi, for the first time in the history of the United States, as Speaker of the House, refused to allow the Republicans who were chosen for that committee by Kevin McCarthy, at the time the Republican minority leader, to be seated on the panel. And as a result, the Republicans said, we're going to have nothing to do with this. And the only quote unquote Republicans that were chosen was Liz Cheney, who ended up losing her seat by 36 points, and Adam Kinzinger, who didn't bother running again because they were so unrepresentative of the Republican Party. It was a completely partisan commission. And on top of that,
it was partisan.
None of the videotape.
It was partisan. But why was it partisan? It was partisan because the Republicans refused to do anything. They refused to put people on the commission. That's why it was partisan. Believe it or not, the Republicans had an opportunity to not have a partisan fucking investigation into January 6th. But they chose not to. They chose to be partisan. They chose their lot. And now they have to fucking live with it. Sorry.
That were available was made available to the public, except for very deceitfully chosen snippets by Adam Schiff and by Liz Cheney. And it was only within the last several months that we saw all of the video footage. And what it showed makes a joke of the idea that this was a coup. You had people peacefully walking into the Capitol, led by many of the police officers who encouraged them to enter peacefully, which they did. The vast majority of people who were there at January 6th aren't even charged with using violence. And that's what makes this whole debate such a preposterous joke. If you look at how coups are carried out in other countries, you could make a much better case that the Black Lives Matter protests of 2020 was an insurrectionary movement. And the reason it matters, Destiny, is because if you're going to make arguments, there has to be an important test, which is, do you apply the same principles you're claiming to profess and believe in?
Hold on. Why is he so mad about Destiny already? Why is he already so fucking pissed? One second. Let me hit these. Let me load these bad boys up. Bro, I'm like a real military commander for real. There's like literally no reason why I shouldn't have been a fucking military commander during World War II because I'm so fucking good at this shit, dude.
To cases where it undermines your partisan allegiance and your ideology, not only where it helps it. That's one of the key tasks for determining the authenticity of your argument. And so if you don't think the 2020 protest movement was an insurrectionary movement against the United States government, there's no way to claim what January 6th was, especially since Trump could have done so much more to cause a coup that he did not do because that wasn't his aim ever.
If you want to talk about applying the same standard, would you have been okay in the year 2000 if Gore refused to certify the vote because he didn't like what was happening in Florida?
A lot of Democrats did want
you
him to
answer
do
that question, Glenn? Answer
the question, Glenn.
Yes, a lot of Democrats were angry about that.
I'm not asking if a lot of I'm asking you would be okay personally if he refused to certify the vote.
I think there were two.
You won't answer the question. In 2016, would you have been okay if Biden?
Because if you really believe that an election is stolen, as the Democrats claim they did, then it is kind of odd to say, we're just going to concede that and allow George Bush to march into power, even though we believe that he actually stole the election.
Yes,
that is kind of an odd way to go about your
It's not all that all. We live in a democracy. There are appropriate forums through which you can challenge.
Did they not battle that out in the courts?
And they lost. Once
okay,
you had
there
your day
you go.
in court and you
Trump
lost,
was battling it out in the court,
and he lost. Once you lose, anything past that is vigilantism. Vigilantism directed at the government to prevent the peaceful transfer of power to entrench your own power is an attempted coup. That's what he tried to do.
Trump did, though. He told them to be peaceful. He told them go and
we're not
be
talking
peaceful
about the. We're not talking about the peaceful protesters. And if he wanted them to be peaceful, he would have called in the National Guard as soon as they started rioting. But he didn't do that.
Yeah, You're talking about his use of the legal process, of the congressional and judicial process.
That was not
he
a legal
went
process.
And he tested. If he had ordered the military or some other FBI or any of those agencies, the CIA, to go and use violence on domestic soil in order to ignore those court rulings the way people do when they're trying to implement coups, you would have a good argument. He didn't do any of that. He invoked all of his legal rights in the judiciary and in the Congress. He lost and he walked out of the White House on January 20th. He did not have to be dragged out. He wasn't arrested by the military, which is what happens in coups. So much of this is because you only started paying attention to politics in 2016. You only live in the United States.
Oh my God,
you have no idea about history or anything that happens in other countries. You have no idea what a coup is. This is a coup.
Glenn, you bring that up. Glenn, you bring that up, and you're trying to use Hawaii as an example for something that was comparable, where both slates of electors were actually duly elected by the people there. For in the 60s, Hawaii and South Carolina, these other historical examples that people go to for multiple slates of electors are not at all comparable. Both of these things happened prior to 2016. There are no examples in U.S. history, or if you want to give me one, since you know so much history prior to 2016, give it to me. Is there any other examples in U.S. history where the president is telling the vice president to unilaterally not certify the vote? Has that ever happened before?
That's a totally separate question.
No,
from
that
whether
is
this
what
is a
happened
coup.
on January 6th.
It doesn't matter if it's the first time that it ever happened. Even if it's the first time or the 10th time, it's still not a coup or an insurrection. A coup or an insurrection is when you use violence and force in order to seize control of power outside of the legal process.
So a coup has to have. So if there's no violence, it can't be a coup.
Wasn't there violence? I saw violence.
Yeah, you need violence in order to be the coup. The
How
amount
much
of
violence do you
that
need?
happened on the Capitol on January 6th, the most amount of violence happened to the January 6th protesters, not from them. Again, not a single protester whipped out a gun, let alone used a gun. That is an extremely weird coup.
How many officers were injured? 140?
Wait.
Is that enough violence for you?
Well, here's a good question about who, like staging a coup and emergent phenomenon, and if a crowd becomes violent, or if someone directs the crowd to become violent. This is actually the next question on my list. Do you guys think that Trump was responsible for this thing? And before you answer, I want to play a couple of clips. We have clip 1 and 2. These are from Trump's speeches on the day. I think the first clip is before the violence kicked off. Maybe we can play that first.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. We can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special.
You're very
You've seen what
special.
happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
That second clip was from after the violence had become, and so he was kind of doing damage control, I think, at that point.
I just don't understand all of the insanely arbitrary caps that we're trying to create to try to say that it wasn't a coup. Well, there was violence, but there wasn't enough. There was a subversion of the democratic process, but it didn't end up working. Like, if the plan would have gone as Donald Trump wanted it to have gone, which is Vice President Pence unilaterally tossing out the Electoral College vote, and if Donald Trump would have retained power past when he was supposed to lose it, what is that if not a coup? What would you call that?
No one ordered those people, the few hundred that actually fought police to do that.
That's great. What would
That's
you call
why they
that,
can't
though?
charge.
If it
Trump's
would have
not been
happened,
charged.
no one said Trump's been charged with insurrection or inciting a
But
riot.
you say
Jack
he
Smith
can't-
especially did.
But we can't vote for him because they
What
say
would you
he's
call
guilty.
it if Pence would have unilaterally thrown out the vote and Trump would have held on to power for some weeks,
Trump
months
was
longer?
calling for a 10-day Senate investigation. That's why we were there.
That's great. What would have happened if Pence would have thrown out the vote?
No, that's a hypothetical. Trump wanted a 10-day investigation.
No, but
I don't care
he
what Trump
also wanted Pence to throw out the
Yeah, what would have
electoral
happened?
votes.
What would you
Him
have
and
called
Eastman
that?
were pushing for that.
Yeah, what would we have called that? Can I get a name for that? If you don't want to call it a coup or an insurrection, what would you call that?
Well, I'd call it taking Trump off the ballot and saying we can't vote for him.
I know you won't
He's
answer
such
because
a
you probably
bitch.
know he's guilty. That's fine. What about
I
you
know
or
he's
Glenn?
guilty.
Glenn, what would you call it if the president was able to entrench his power by asking his vice president to throw out the vote unilaterally, which is what he was trying to do? Do you want to deny the facts? Do you want to deny that it's a coup? What part?
A coup.
I think
You're lucky there wasn't a real coup.
Shows the weakness of the argument, but if
Why
that had
would you say
happened, my
that?
guess is it would have ended up in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court would have made the decision about whether Mike Pence exercised his proper authority as vice president, and then Donald Trump, if he had
The Trump supporters are always peaceful. Trump supporters are always peaceful. But you're lucky that we didn't actually try to coup you, because we would have and we could have, and we will. I mean, yeah. 1776 will rise again.
Like what is why would you say that if you're trying to make people think that that the fucking Trump supporters are good people who just had a bad day or something? Why the fuck would you say that? Okay, one sec. Is there any hardcover? Hardcover. There we go.
had run out of options, would have left the White House on January 20th without any need for military force or police force, exactly how he did. And I would have called that the exhaustion of all of the legal remedies available to the president.
Sorry, I'm too busy killing Nazis in my video game to see that Rezi has raided the channel. How's it going, guys? Unfortunate, because I'm probably going to have to rating on Kick is anticlimactic. Yeah, there wasn't any notification. I didn't hear anything. 36 viewers on Kick. Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Sondsol. You probably know me. I'm very important. Everybody knows me. I'm like the most famous person ever with my previously 11 viewers and 3 viewers on YouTube. You know, everyone knows Sondsol. All right. It's unfortunate because I have to end the stream here in just a minute. But if you haven't already, please follow my Kick channel. All right. Yeah, it is a great excuse. All right. It is a great excuse. Thank you for the raid. Thank you for the raid, Rezi. That's true. That's true. 5 more hours. Will I be coming back to Twitch? Whenever they decide to accept or deny my appeal, which they have not done. They have not been timely in my appeal. So we'll have to see. But yeah, hey guys, follow me on Kick. We need more followers on Kick right now. All right? I'm looking at the followers right now. Where the fuck are my... Look at this. 147. It has not changed. Where's that number going to... When is that... Look. 4 minutes. And none of you fucking retarded fucking Resi viewers have subbed or followed Rez, but with Riz. All right? Rez, but with a monster cock. All right? They don't call me Coke Can Sond for nothing. All right? Man, let me tell you, I'm glad y'all rated in. It's really unfortunate that I have to fucking leave here in a couple of minutes, but let's keep watching Mr. Jones, okay? Just for a minute.
In the event that he thinks that
exactly,
election
and
was
therefore
stolen.
it would have been
If
just
you don't
the
follow
way
Hog Riders,
Bush
what's
v.
Hog
Gore thing
Riders?
played out.
Okay, if both of you guys
Exhausting your
accept that,
legal
if both of you
options,
guys-
getting up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court makes the determination.
Let Darren finish. If both of you accept that, then if the Supreme Court says that because of Amendment 14, Section 3, Trump can't be on the ballot, you would both accept that as well?
I
We are going to
wouldn't,
accept
but I
that
think that would be authoritative. I would
Why
think
would
it
that
would
be
be
authoritative? But Donald Trump, one man, centralizing power among himself to remain in power, that's not authoritative. What could be?
He didn't do that. That's
what
not
he
what
tried
happened.
to do. That is what happened.
No.
Clint, I know you only read
What
tweets
kind
and
of
headlines.
fucking cope is it? Like, listen. I know he tried to, but he didn't do it, so it's not illegal. Like, attempted murder isn't illegal? What is this fucking crazy fucking world that we live in? What is this crazy world that we live in? Oh, well, he didn't actually succeed, so therefore he's totally clean? Shut the fuck up. It's so stupid, and no one believes it. Nobody believes it. Okay?
Glenn, but believe it or not, that's actually what happened.
He wanted a 10-day, that was our goal, was a 10-day Senate investigation into the Constitution.
That's not what was happening behind the scenes, though. There's testimony from the lawyers involved.
They were wargaming everything.
Exactly.
His
and they're
attorney
trying
general, the
everything.
assistant AG, the
And a lot
assistant
of these
deputy
people-
AG, all of his legal counsel, all of the state senators, all of the congressmen.
If I can talk over you, I can be way better than you.
That's what you've been doing the whole time.
No. You're doing it, and then I dominate you. You can't handle it.
Okay.
I'm dominating.
He didn't do that, and he left. Is the point?
It's how we're
And
gonna take
that's the
Stardust
reality.
down?
And now they say
Damn.
we can't vote
I
for
didn't
him,
realize that
even
she
though we
needed
all
to be
know
taken
Biden's
down.
going to win by 10 million votes.
That's why
I
we
was
call it
about
an
to say something
attempted
really
coup
neat.
and not
Never
an
mind.
actual successful coup.
Alex, do you think that Trump was responsible for this thing on January 6th?
100% not. He'd had hundreds of rallies around the country, 5 or 6 that we were part of in the months before this. And we had the space. Here's the Capitol, right up here by the Supreme Court on the Capitol grounds. We had a stage. And then we get there, and it's bedlam. And so, no, Trump didn't think attacking the Capitol would make him look good. That's why he came out and said that don't do this and go home.
Why didn't he call them off immediately if he thought it didn't make him look good?
It was happening while he was giving a speech.
Wrong. The reason why he didn't call them off is because him, Giuliani, and Eastman were making phone calls to other senators and congressmen asking them to decertify the electoral vote.
No.
You were there, but you weren't.
Do you acknowledge that happened, or do you not acknowledge it?
We're talking about the crowd.
I don't care about the crowd. I'm saying that as the riot was raging on and he was sitting there sipping his Diet Coke, if this really made him and his followers look bad, why didn't Donald Trump make a video immediately?
I'm about to do it because I can talk over you really easy.
That's what you've been doing the whole time.
No, you're
I
doing it.
look forward to you dodging the question.
You're
again.
doing
Go
it.
ahead.
You're
No,
doing
you.
it. You're doing it.
No, you.
So, you.
No, you.
You.
No, you.
You. Both of you. Keep doing it. It's what he does. He doesn't have facts.
It's such a clusterfuck.
Trump
It's such a clusterfuck. It's so stupid.
While he was speaking, I was getting text messages violence to the Capitol. And I left to try to go stop it.
I'm dominating you.
When I got there, he was still speaking. So this thing where you guys say, the attack started at this time and Trump did nothing this time, he's speaking while it happens for hours. He then goes to the White House, tries to figure out what's going on, and puts...
We all watched. I was live on stream while they were fucking doing this whole fucking shebang. We watched it happen. There was already a protest, but the violence started when? The violence started after Donald Trump went to the fucking went back to the White House. Oh shit, what is that?
Jagged Panzer. Bro, this is no good. This is no good. Shoot him. Shoot him. Hey. Go over here. That's right. We took their Panzer, and now we're fucking them up.
It's a statement out against it, and he said...
Responds to
in
me?
the middle
What
of
do
a
you mean
speech,
responds to you?
Off a teleprompter, go be peaceful.
Okay,
That's what he said.
Didn't Trump get back to the Oval like 1:30?
He also said fight like hell.
Yeah,
if
why
we
didn't
don't
you
fight
play
like
those
hell,
clips?
if we don't fight,
Do me a favor. What? Why is Rezi a mod but not me? Because you said that you didn't want a mod for me anymore, bitch. I need Alec Jones's woos on timestamp. Oh, we're past that. But it's very early on in it. We're only an hour. Oh, I was about to say we're only an hour in. So let me know. Okay, well, I'm going to have to end stream here very soon, so I'm not going to be able to get you any more timestamps today. Sorry, buddy.
fight like hell, we're not going to have a country. What did Rudy Giuliani say? He said, let's have trial by combat.
Yeah. That's a legal term. Maxine Waters said,
really? That's
go
a legal
attack
term.
Republicans in restaurants
That's
grocery stores.
So why don't...
With her, it wasn't hyperbole.
Why don't
Trump
we
never
ask...
said, Trump never supported political violence. Trump never told people to be goons. The left would burn down half the country. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows is Biden's erased the border. Everybody knows all this. You're sitting there claiming this was, do you agree this was as big as Pearl Harbor?
What are you comparing it? As big as Pearl Harbor in what way?
3,000 died in Pearl Harbor.
People dead? No. Maybe a blemish on our democracy? I'd say it was very close.
Let me ask you this. If they bring in, which they've done, 10 million illegal aliens the last 3 years, and then that gives them, with the congressional seats in the census, more Democrat seats in the Congress, is that
undocumented aliens, undocumented immigrants are not voting.
They are counted.
No, they are not.
They're counted in the census.
But they're not voting.
They're counted in the census.
They're not voting.
So then they get more Democrat districts.
Can we backtrack really fast?
Oh my God!
So let's backtrack.
Ladies and gentlemen, they're already stealing elections with the illegals. They get more congressional.
January 6th.
They get more congressional districts.
Yeah, I do want to
go back to January 6th. Okay, so you play those clips.
Oh, you always want to get off of it because it wasn't an insurrection.
I came here to debate
and then
January 6th.
I'm not the real insurrection.
Too many brownos. I'm not here to debate immigration.
I don't know what to do about that.
Okay, yeah. So. Why don't we ask the Oath Keepers, the 3%ers, the Proud Boys, the ones who were actually indicted and convicted of seditious conspiracy, why they did it? And
well, you know, they told us.
No, yeah, they did tell us.
They did tell us. The kangaroo trials. Let me say.
Wait, yeah, let Brian finish.
And then you can come back at me.
All right.
Joe Biggs,
partners are actually pretty good in this.
I did it because this is where Trump wanted me. He wanted me to do this. Stewart Rhodes, Oath Keepers. Same thing. I did it for Trump. Multiple Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, they all said, I was here because of Trump. I went into the Capitol. I took the Capitol because that's what Trump wanted. So was Trump responsible? Ask them. Ask the people that are serving 20 years in prison for seditious conspiracy.
I'd like to respond to that now. I know Stuart Rhodes well. I know Joe Biggs well. He used to work here. And they have never said Trump told them to go into the Capitol.
Zone, bro. Sorry, it's 8:01 retard. Oh, I didn't realize that we're going off of East Coast time. Really? East Coast time? EST? Fucking loser. All right, guys. Hey, listen. Still 25 of you guys here from Rezi. All right. If you haven't already, please follow the channel. I'm going to be streaming again tomorrow, hopefully, and hopefully the next day too. I'm going to be grifting super fucking hard. Can I be honest with you guys? I'm going to be grifting.
Not only because I love stealing money from poor hapless viewers, but my cat, I had to spend $500 on this stupid fucking cat because he decided to get sick. So if you guys want to help me out with that, following and subscribing and going to the donation link if you're watching on YouTube, or I'm sure there's a donation panel somewhere on Kick. Otherwise, I'm super screwing up monetizing this shit and stealing fucking money from you losers. All right. But yes, honestly, if you guys are feeling generous and you guys want to help a brother out, because I spent a lot of money saving my cat. 1 second. Yeah, so if you guys want to help out with that, that would be really great. That's Tacos Cat? You mean pepperoni? Last meme? Okay, final meme. Okay, this actually, if we're gonna watch a final meme, it actually better be right.
I'm sick of all these witches and warlocks. They're full of shit. Pumpkin popsums, I'm sick of it. You keep interrupting me. And all of it's lies. Because you're lying. That's why. Oh, there's energy, and oh, now we're done with Trump. You said he was the Messiah. You said he was invincible. I will not suffer your Q people after this. I knew what you were day one. I know what you are now. Witches and warlocks are full of shit. Pumpkin popsums, I'm sick of it.
I thought that he was on the Q train. Did I get here just in time for it to end? You did. Fucking loser. Fucking loser made it right at the end. All right, who do we know that is streaming right now? Stardust. Who the fuck is RJ Online? And Tom. You guys choose. You guys choose Stardust or Tom. Goodbye, Bones. We need you in chat more often, okay? You should raid Rezi. He's not streaming right now. Zonia? Wait, am I not following Zonia on Kick? Ugh. Chat room, shut up. JR Online is Merc? Oh, no. That's not an option. You guys aren't allowed to raid, and you guys aren't allowed to bully me into raiding fucking Zonia. Why am I not following Zonia? Okay, we're raiding into Zonia. All right. So using that gaming browser? Goddamn right I am. Okay. All right. Hey guys, I love you guys very much. It's been very fun. All right. We will be going live again tomorrow. If you guys haven't followed, this is your final chance. All right. Thorn ZXC. Holy fuck. Thank you for the follow. All right. I love you guys. I will catch you guys tomorrow.